When are we going to be able to literally build a bridge between Earth and the Moon?
Diverting late-night football conversation for prostitutes.
How dare you!
Chronic back pain sufferers.
Done the old back again.
And security guards who haven't quite nodded off yet. Wake up! The Michaels, Graham and Parry on Talk Sport. For when two mics are better than one.
Look at the light! You worry too much about the time.
Yeah, no, I worry about it.
AM time on the breakfast show is different to the time here. This is space time. It's the middle of the night, if you see what I mean.
It's still AM, though, isn't it?
Well, it's still AM, but it's AM, if you see what I mean.
I don't know.
It's earlier than AM. It's complete madness, you know. I would advise anybody not to bother turning it on, because it plays with your head.
Yeah.
It's just drivel.
Well, I'll stick around to the end of the show, don't worry. Talk Sport, we are the two Mikes. It's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
A very good morning to you, Mike. And I think before we go any further,
yes,
we should get the, what's the word I'm looking for? The house furniture out of the way, OK?
Uh-huh.
The house furniture being, of course,
you want to
the
move
result...
the furniture around?
No. The result of last night's winners and losers, OK? Where you tried to quite provocatively persuade our predecessors in this studio, that is Messieurs Andy and Jason, that you had secured another victory.
No, I don't think you find that's true.
You did.
No.
Oh, yes, you did.
They asked me if I'd seen the result. I said I had.
And then they said you've got that smug look on your face.
Well, I can't help having a smug look on my face.
Well, you have a smug look on your face most of the time.
I do, yeah. I've got a lot to be smug about.
No, you haven't. You've got nothing to be smug about.
I've got everything to be smug about.
I think you're smug about the fact that your smugness is something that's fixed on your face, but you don't know why. And,
well, no, it's because I'm generally smug.
And so I think it's about time now, as you've led the audience down the garden path into thinking that you've won.
No.
A lot of people will have packed up and said, right, it's not worth listening to the two Mikes now. If MG's gone and won another one, he's gerrymandered it. So can we have the result, please?
You can indeed, yeah. The voting was as follows. And the voting, of course, had already closed by the time I was asked the question. So there was no question of me actually affecting the voting process as such.
Yes.
Let me just fire up my information device here.
Yes, fire it up, will you?
It's going to take a little bit of time.
You do come into the studio prepared for this show,
yes,
don't you?
Indeed.
Yeah, well done.
Well, normally, you see, you don't ask me for the result of winners and losers.
Well, I mean, when you start trying to mislead millions of people...
No. I was asked whether I had won.
Yes.
And I said, I can't possibly say. And, you know, they looked at my face and deduced from that I'd won.
But you had a one look on your face.
A one look?
One look. W-A-N, a one look.
You mean one?
I said exactly what I said. A one look on your face. In fact, Shakespeare would have described you as a cream-faced loon.
Yeah, would he?
Which line did that come from? Which play did that come from?
Was it not from Hamlet?
No, it wasn't. It was from Macbeth.
Macbeth, was it?
Yeah,
okay.
you see.
So apparently people were putting out some pork Shakespeare. They were calling it pork Shakespeare, I think they were calling it.
Shakespeare, yes, I like that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this a fish finger I see before me and all
This
kinds
is
of
a
stuff
fish
like that?
finger,
I don't know why they were
How
coming out with
ridiculous
it.
is
But
that?
we'll revisit that in a little while.
Yes.
Okay, you want to hear the voting?
Yes, please.
The voting closed at midnight. 1,448 votes were cast. The Mike Parry percentage is 52%.
Yes.
The Mike Graham percentage is 48%.
Woo!
So very close.
So
Very
the
close.
victor is, can we just...
So you are the winner.
I'm the winner!
Yeah.
So me, Mike Parry, the
Yeah, you,
Portmeister,
Mike
the winner.
Parry, yeah.
Thank you.
So that will be the fifth one that you've won.
Well, there
the
you go.
score is now 13-5.
Oh, well, you see, coming back massive.
Well,
Do you remember there was...
I wouldn't say you're coming back massively.
There was one great snooker competition once when one of the snooker players was 13-0 up.
Uh-huh.
He lost over...
15-13?
No, he lost 18-13.
Oh, 18-13.
Or something like that. It's a very, very famous game from many years ago.
It's a shame you can't remember it since you want to invoke a similar kind of victory.
I'm saying that on the comeback trail. But anyway, you know, when you try to con our colleagues into thinking you've won something which you haven't, I have to make it absolutely clear.
I'd like to heartily congratulate you, for winning.
Yes,
well
excellent.
done.
Good. Now, the other thing is, right, which is very, very important...
Can I just ask you whether you want to change the system?
No, the system...
2 weeks ago you wanted to change the system.
No, the system remains as it is.
2 weeks ago you wanted to change the system.
No, the system remains...
You said you wanted to do away with it altogether.
The system remains as it is.
You said that you didn't think it was fair.
I think it had teething troubles.
It hasn't changed.
It's now settled in.
It hasn't changed. What I can tell you
it's
is under the old system of retweeting in favourites, you won 3.
Yes.
Right, now under the new system you've won 2.
No. You don't understand accumulative...
13-5.
You don't understand accumulative, aggressive control. And that's what this is.
Is that what you practice?
No, in terms of the voting system. Now,
by the way, Andrew Mead, you know that very kind fellow who sent us in 2 bottles of wine yesterday?
Yes.
he sent a supplementary tweet today.
Right.
To say, because I thanked him profusely, I don't know whether you did on Twitter, did you?
Of course I did.
Did you?
Of course I did.
I didn't see you thanking him.
Didn't you?
No.
Why is that then?
Well, I didn't see the tweet.
Well, you don't see all my tweets. I send some of them secretively.
Do you? Would you like to show me the one that you'll read out, the one that you sent him?
No, I don't show secret tweets to anybody, no.
Right,
no.
okay.
Yes.
Anyway, he said that Blacktail was the cheapest wine that he could find. He managed to get it for £5.
Yes.
But the red wine that he sent me cost him £60. And he said it was the true reflection of how he thought we were appearing in the world.
And he's surprised he didn't get a tweet from me?
So you didn't send him one then?
I'm not saying I did or didn't.
So you didn't, did you?
I'm not saying
you didn't send him one.
I'm not saying
this
I did
is why
or didn't.
He's a very good judge of character.
I'm not
he
saying.
He spent £5 on some crappy German wine for you.
Oh, really? Is that the case?
Yeah. And £60 on a very nice Chilean red for me.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know...
Just so you know where you are in the scheme of things.
We can judge people on their assessment of a label on a bottle of wine. Now then, listen, the great thing is the first ever football shirt from Stoke City Football Club has gone into space.
Yeah, it's a flag, I think, isn't it?
I thought it was a shirt.
No, I think it's a flag.
Flag,
Stoke
shirt,
City flag.
Same thing. Anyway.
By Major Tim.
Brilliant, that. Sitting on 320,000 tonnes of rocket fuel. He is suddenly
I have to say,
lifted into the air.
Did you watch the lift-off?
Oh, it was brilliant.
Process?
I loved it.
It's very exciting. I mean, no matter how many times you see that, you just think, that's brilliant, isn't it? Great.
I used to watch them when the old Apollo programme was on and all that.
Oh,
and you used to love the American countdown, didn't you? 3, 2, 1, we have liftoff.
Yeah.
Now, when the Russians
they counted down
it,
for more than 3, to be
when,
fair.
when the Russians do it, I still gonna Liftovsky does not sound the same as we have liftoff, does it?
It doesn't sound anything like that.
Well, it did sound like that. I listened to it,
I only heard them counting down in English.
There was a bit of counting down in English, but the actual expression, we have liftoff, was, I've gonna Liftovsky! And it doesn't sound like liftoff, but that's because, there never used to be a Russian word for liftoff.
Really?
So they adopted a form of the English word,
Did they?
Liftovsky. Yeah.
Liftovsky.
And what will happen? What will happen when he comes back?
I don't know, tell me.
No, it's splashdown. It's the Russian version of splashdown.
They're going to splash down?
Well, they're dropping
sure?
the sea in the capsule, probably.
Are you sure?
Probably.
I thought they'd done away with all that sort of thing.
Well, no, you've got to remember that the Russians were so paranoid in the days of the Cold War, they wouldn't allow their capsules to come back and land in the sea in case an American submarine popped up and stole them.
Yeah.
So they always made them come back and land on the Russian steppes.
Right.
And of course, that was much more dangerous for a capsule to come back from space and hit solid Earth. You had a much better chance of killing the cosmonauts inside than if they landed in the sea.
I thought that they'd done away with all that landing in the sea business.
No, they haven't got a shuttle to bring it back. The Russians, only the Americans have got a shuttle.
Yeah.
Have you not realised that yet?
Well, I didn't know whether that was going to be the case.
Well, tell me an instance of you seeing the Russian shuttle go up and come down again.
The Russians, I think, did have a shuttle at one point.
No, they haven't. They haven't got
a
shuttle. I'm certain they haven't got a shuttle. If they had a shuttle, then they would be able to shuttle back there and back. But that's why they launch a rocket.
Right. Well, it says here that the coming back and landing is going to be on the steps again.
Yeah, on the steps, you see. There you go.
It's not splashdown at all.
Yeah, well, it's land down, touchdown, touchdowning, touchdownski.
About 15 minutes before landing, the capsule deploys a drogue parachute to slow the descent speed from 230 metres per second to 80 metres per second.
Exactly.
The main chute is then released, cutting the capsule speed to 7 metres per second.
That's right.
And shifting it to a vertical position.
Absolutely, yeah.
Six engines fire on the underside of the capsule to cushion the craft just before it thuds down on the Kazakh steppe.
That's right. That's exactly what I just told you, didn't I? See, I know all about my Russian...
you said it was going to smash down in the sea.
I know all about the space programme.
You said it was going to splash down in the sea.
I didn't say that. I said that the Russians don't splash down in the sea because they're too frightened of US submarines coming up. You know the old James Bond plot of the big ship coming along and swallowing up the submarine?
Yeah, the stealth ship.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the Russians used to fear that the Americans would do that, nick their cosmonauts and all that kind of stuff, you know?
But there's a Russian cosmonaut on this, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, of course there is. It's a Russian
there is also
flight.
an American one.
I mean, it's Kazakhstan, which used to be a Russian satellite. Right. So it's, I think there's 2 Russians, isn't it? 2 Russians.
It's a Russian American and
a Russian American and Major Tim. Okay, yeah, fine, yeah. But anyway, look, it's a great project and all that. We do like that. And you're right about
that's the furthest a Stoke City flag has ever been taken.
I'm certain it has. And also, I've been getting some messages about whether you can actually see the space station from the naked eye. No evidence.
I told you that last
whatsoever.
night.
No evidence.
Of course there is. I told you that last night. All you've got to do, right, is get the app, get the NASA app, or go online and it will tell you. And in fact, the NASA app, as people tweeted into us last night, will actually inform you when the space station is going over where you can see it.
I tweeted out today and said congratulations to my fellow astronaut, Tim, Colonel Tim, because, of course, as I've explained to you, as I have flown the Concorde... at a height of 60,000 feet, and literally on the rim of the Earth, where
you've got a certificate,
blue.
Right?
I've got a certificate.
Why don't you bring it in and show it?
Well, I don't like to boast about these things.
Why don't you bring it in?
But as the edge of
the in the same locked room as the Joan Collins picture.
There is no locked room.
Picture.
As there's a blue tinge to the edge of the Earth, which you're flying through, right, 60,000 feet. The official definition of astronaut is if you fly above 55,000 feet.
Really?
Which I have done.
So you make yourself out to be an astronaut?
I'm not making myself out to be. By definition, I can say that I have enjoyed astronaut status.
No, but you're not, though. You're not an astronaut. You never get into any astronaut's, programme. You're overweight. Your heart doesn't work. You can't see very well. You've got flat feet. You've got no chance.
Excuse me. Have you ever flown at 60,000 feet?
Not to my knowledge.
No, of course you haven't. So you would know what you're talking about, as usual, full of
Well, all I can tell you is you're not an astronaut unless you go out of the atmosphere.
Well...
I wish you would go out of the atmosphere. If I strap you to a rocket later on this morning.
I was on the edge of the atmosphere, that's the point. Now, talking about atmospheres...
We haven't got time for this.
No, I'm going to tell you what... I know what we're going to talk about next,
what?
OK?
What?
I'm going to talk about the Swansea chairman's mad mission to South America.
Yeah, why is it mad?
Has he gone completely bonkers?
Loco.
Eh?
Has he gone loco?
I think he may have gone out. El Loco!
Here's Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. We've got more coming up from South America.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie.
Any excuse to play Starman, as far as I'm concerned, is a great one.
I totally agree with you.
It's one of the great songs, that.
Yeah, couldn't agree.
A lot of people think
more.
we should play Space Oddity, of course.
Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Well, the trouble with that is that's a bit cliched as a sort of a record
And
that
you'd have to
represents
change it
space
to
travel.
Major Tim as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, you'd have to change to Major Tim as well. You're absolutely right. No, I love... actually, that's not my favourite one. That one was
Not
what?
your
A Starman,
what?
Bowie sort
Starman.
of mystic. Starman went in the sky. No, the one I like is... It's a God-only small affair.
God-only small affair.
It's a God... Everybody... It's Life on Mars. Life on Mars.
What's the second line?
Well, the first line is, it's a God-only small affair.
God only.
What?
It's God only.
What do you keep repeating that for?
Because it's not right.
What is it then?
It's not a God only small affair.
Well, what is it then?
It's a God awful small affair or something, isn't it?
Well, you see, you don't even know. You contradicted me in saying it's not that, and you don't know what it is.
Well, I'm telling you that it's not right.
Right, the second line is?
The second line is to the girl with the mousy hair.
To the girl with the mousy hair, that's it. Yep. Do you know
her
what?
mother is yelling no.
And her mother is yelling no. That's right, yeah.
And her father has told her to go.
And her father has told her to go.
I'm not going to get you to sing anymore.
No, but that's brilliant, because actually, when that came out, I was going out with a girl who had mousy hair.
Really?
And it reminded me of her...
Well, do you remember that very nice woman that we met down at the Portsmouth show? Who has blonde hair.
Blonde hair.
You described her on the air as having mousy hair.
Oh, did I?
She was very upset.
Oh, really? She complained, did she?
Yeah.
Well, don't complain.
I'm told, by the way, that the correct definition of being an astronaut involves actually being trained to be an astronaut. It doesn't involve sipping champagne at 60,000 feet on Concorde.
Oh, no, it does.
That is the dictionary definition.
No,
Yeah, it is.
No, the widest
well, you'll have to bring the certificate in.
Explanation is that if you manage to free yourself from the shackles of the Earth and are hurtling around the Earth at a height of above 55,000 feet, you have astronaut status. I've checked it and double checked it over the years.
Well, I'd like to see the evidence.
Well, you don't need to see the evidence.
Yeah, I want to see the certificate.
Well, I hope you're not trying to suggest that I didn't fly in the Concorde at 60,000 feet.
I just want to see the certificate.
All right.
Now, here's one from Roy. It says, Porky, Space Cadet classic, delusional, narcissistic behaviour. What he thinks he's done is so out there, only he believes it.
Well,
Humpty Dumpty says, tell old IRMG to shut up, Mike Parry. He wouldn't know what being an astronaut is all about.
Exactly.
As he don't have your experience.
Exactly.
So here's a guy who can't even speak English telling me that I should shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? What's wrong with that?
Here's one from Woodenhead who says, Parry might as well be in space. His waistline is already big enough to have his own orbit.
What?
That's very good.
Find that a bit hard
Fred
to bear.
says, you can tell Porky's talking Porkies. He's making it all up. Russian for liftoff is u nas jest podnimiki.
I think that's what I said, wasn't it?
No, it's not.
Something very similar. Well, that might be the Russian definition, but you've got to remember, in Russia, there's at least 16 different dialects of Russian. And the one that I indicated to you is in fact the one adopted by the space community.
Is that right?
You know they used to have a secret
according to
city.
Lil Flash, Porky, the Russian word for takeoff is snimat.
Yes.
Not takeoffsky.
Yeah, well,
#plank.
It's the same sort of thing. I mean, I was talking in the space vernacular. You know, there used to be a city in Russia which was called Space City, and all they did was launch rockets there. Nobody else was allowed in.
Oh, right.
It was a secret
city.
They
launched a rocket at one of their own villages today.
Who?
The Russians.
Why?
By mistake.
Oh, I see.
They sent a cruise missile and it ended up barracking into a block of flats in a Russian village.
Well, actually...
Which apparently, fortunately, nobody was in.
Well, you know, when the Russians, first announced that, we are taking control in the Middle East, and they sent a boat out to some sea, Caspian Sea somewhere, and said, right, launch all the cruise missiles onto the Middle East.
Cruise missiles.
But about 6 of them fell short, didn't they? Landed in Russia somewhere.
Did, yeah. Well, this one slammed into a block of flats.
Yeah, well, these sort of things happen, I'm afraid.
All is not well with the Russian defence missile system.
You've got to be rather careful, haven't you?
Anyway, you want to talk about South America.
Right, South
Swansea.
America.
From South Wales to South America.
Well, that's absolutely right. But, I mean, sometimes chairmen... What is the word I'm looking for? They kind of decide,
perhaps?
I think what I'm saying is that, Gary Monk was a manager who became manager after being a player. And he was very much, a Swansea product, if you see what I mean. And then... I think he was sacked very unfairly, by the way. I think Gary Monk's performance as a manager was excellent, and it's no reason that he ran out of a bit of energy in the middle of this season. He'd have got through this season without going down, and then had another great season next season. Second season-itis is a very, very familiar problem for young managers.
Say, I thought he explained it all quite well whenever he was asked. He just said, we're having a bad patch, we'll come out of it.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, so now the Swansea hierarchy have decided...
The what?
The Swansea hierarchy.
Hierarchy?
Yeah. Do you know what a hierarchy is?
You mean the hierarchy?
That's exactly what I just said, you idiot. Why do you put me up on every word that I pronounce these days?
Only the ones you get wrong.
No, honestly,
hierarchy.
You get on my nerves, you do.
Really?
Now, what I was going to say is, so now the hierarchy of Swansea, led by their chairman, I presume, Mr.
Hugh Jenkins.
Hugh Jenkins, have gone off to South America. And I always feel that, what is this? Do they prove that they're a big club by finding a manager with a very exotic name who speaks faltering English on television and therefore has some massive mystery about his ability? It's a bit like old Remy Gard at Aston Villa.
Well, Remy Gard is not doing a bad job, is he?
Well, they've still only got 6 points and are rooted to the bottom of the Premier League.
Yeah, but how many points did they have before he got there?
6, I think.
There you go.
So
he stopped the rot.
5, I think.
He's got a point.
No, I think he's got a point,
He stopped the rot.
But what I'm going to say is...
You just don't like the French.
The best thing that could have happened to Aston Villa was to have got Sam Allardyce before Sunderland did. Somebody who can say, right, we've got a job to do.
Yeah.
Not to suddenly spread this exotic...
Where is Sunderland at the moment?
Doing better than Villa. But anyway, the point of my story is...
Yeah, go on.
So you rush off down to South America, you start talking to all sorts of people about coming to Swansea. Right, they're looking at Chile coach George Sampaoli, right?
Yes, he's supposed to be very good.
Yeah, they're also looking at... who's the guy looking at? Well, of course,
Marcelo Bielsa.
Well, Bielsa is their main target, but there's another 2 they've gone to see. Jorge Sampaoli.
Sunderland is second bottom, by the way.
And Sunderland are second bottom, yeah. And Sevilla manager Unai Emery, right?
Unai Emery.
Unai Emery. We used to know Emery. David Emery.
David Emery.
He was
I don't think they're related, are they? That's probably not the same spelling.
It is. E-M-E-R-Y.
Is it?
He was the sports editor of the Daily Express.
Yeah.
And do you know what he is these days?
What is he now?
He's chief executive and editor-in-chief of the non-league paper.
Is he?
Which he founded and is based in offices in Wimbledon.
And is that doing well?
It's doing very well indeed,
Excellent.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Yeah.
So, the point of my story is... I can't understand why Swansea, in the predicament they're in, have decided to complicate the whole issue, the whole equation, by dashing off down to South America to try and find a manager who may have lingual difficulties with his players in Swansea.
Bielsa is out of a job at the moment, isn't he? Because he was managing Marseille, I think it was.
Yes,
and
that's
he
right.
quit there. So he's available, which is a good thing.
Yeah, but
and he is meant to be a good manager. He used to be the manager of Athletic Bilbao.
Yeah, but look, I'm
El Loco, his name is.
El Loco, that's right, yeah. But I'm reading some assessments here from, European observers. Bielsa would be a compelling but unorthodox choice for Swansea, going against Jenkins' preference for young managers with a point to prove. The 60-year-old left Marseille in August, but has a huge personality and reputation with a CV that includes time in charge of the Argentina and Chile national sides.
Yeah.
Now, this man will fit in to South Wales.
Did Chile not win the Copa America, though?
Yeah, not under him, though.
What do you mean not under him?
Well, he wasn't in charge when
not
they won
under
the Copa
Bielsa. No,
America.
I'm talking about the guy they're going for, the Chilean national manager.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, well, exactly. Because
he's done well, then, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he's the current Chilean manager, George Sampaoli.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, he's not going to come to Swansea,
Well,
is
why
he?
not?
Well, because he's in charge of one of the great national teams in the world.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They can offer him vast riches.
I'm about to
House
say
of
to
the
you,
Mumbles.
I'm about to
Catherine
say
Zeta-Jones,
hang on. I'm about to say to you, these two guys, right, Mr. Sampaoli and Mr. Bielsa, will fit into Swansea a bit like a size 5...
You would fit into an astronaut's programme.
Hang on. A bit like a size 5 ballerina's plimsoll would fit on my right foot, OK? That's how misplaced it would be.
Plimsoll?
Well,
they don't wear plimsolls.
They do. They wear
ballet shoes.
They're not ballet shoes. They're plimsolls.
They're not plimsolls. Plimsolls have got an elasticated front.
No, they haven't.
Ballet shoes tie up.
Or they can be elasticated when
they're not.
When they're in training.
Oh, yeah, the Bolshoi hand out plimsolls to everybody.
When they're in training, man.
Where's
When they're in
training
training. When they're in training. Now, what I was going to say is, it's honestly, to put these guys into South Wales...
Why are you making South Wales out to be some kind of horrible backwater?
It's not.
Yes, you are. You're trying to say that South Wales is a terrible, awful place that these guys, who are very sophisticated South Americans, wouldn't want to go to.
Absolute rubbish. What I'm saying is that it's
another part of Britain you're insulting.
Not at all. I'm saying South Wales is a cultural...
what? Cultural what?
It's
desert.
A cultural feast. It's a cultural feast.
South Wales is a cultural feast.
It is, yes.
That's never been said before.
It is. I'm telling you. And these
Which
guys...
parts of the south of Wales would you recommend that they visit then?
Well, I'd reckon they should visit that street outside the Marriott Hotel in Cardiff where everybody gets bladderated till 2 o'clock in the morning
where women
get
into fights.
Women get into fights,
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it's not very far from the station.
Very near.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do, exactly. Our secret operation, Project X as it was known, was based in the Marriott Hotel.
Well, exactly. And of course, your offices, Thompson House, was just round the corner, wasn't
that's
it?
right, yeah.
Now, what I was going to say was that I just don't think they'll fit in. I would have gone for... Do you know who I'd have given the job to, maybe?
Who?
John Hartson. As a rescue operation. Go and talk to him, make him an offer he can't refuse.
Gus Poyet was in the frame for it.
Gus Poyet would have been a better choice, but he's worked here for many, many years, even though he is South American, of course. But these guys won't fit in. It won't work.
What about old Avram Grant? He was in the frame as well.
Well, I mean, that is the most ludicrous proposed appointment I've ever heard of. Do you know the last time I saw Avram Grant?
I don't know. When
it was on the day that Chelsea...
Astronaut Training School.
No, it wasn't. No, it was on the day that... Don't be ridiculous. It was on the day that Chelsea... Don't worry about the time. And I've got an important fact to tell you. Chelsea were playing Manchester United in the final in Moscow. I went to the...
that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. That's the last time I saw Avram Grant.
No.
I went to the Chelsea Hotel, which was the best hotel, because I think it's partly owned by Roman Abramovich.
Yeah.
It's a 5-star hotel. I've got the name of it. Not the Kaplinsky. That's on the other side of the water. And as I walked in the hotel... There was a guy sitting over on a couch in the foyer with all his coaching staff. It was Avram Grant, and he was leaning back very casually, smoking a cigarette, because you still can in the bars and restaurants of Moscow.
Right.
And when I went over and said, hello, Mr. Grant, he didn't even put his cigarettes out. I just said, how's it going? He said, very well prepared, or something like that, the way he did.
Why should he put his cigarette out?
Well, because, as a sign of respect.
He didn't put his cigarette on his forehead.
Something like that, but he's so laid back.
Well, you do get Porky.
He's so laid back, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Excellent.
When he was at Portsmouth, he was so laid back, wasn't he? He was found, in, what was it?
He didn't even used to take the meetings.
Some sort of joint, wasn't it?
Yeah, he didn't take the meetings, did he?
No, he didn't take the meetings.
Well, no, there was some suggestion that he'd been found to be consulting with women that asked for sex for money.
Excuse me.
There was.
I wasn't going to go that far.
But his wife apparently said it was fine.
Exactly.
His wife said it was all right.
I think it was a pole dancing operation.
Was it?
Actually. I think it was a pole dancing operation. What's your problem?
A pole dancing operation?
It was, yeah.
Operation.
Well, you know what I mean. All those sort of places.
Yeah, right.
But
anyway,
quite rightly say, his wife said he needs to unwind.
Yeah, well, who doesn't? This is Talk Sport.
Unwind with a pole.
We got to... or a Russian. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
When you need all the latest form and odds on all the day's sporting action, and you need it fast, you need the Coral Daily Download. Get all the latest news and great offers on all the big games and all the biggest race meetings in one essential package. Delivered to your ears at the speed of sound. Don't miss the Coral Daily Download every morning on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast from 6 on Talk Sport with Coral. Your best bet for breakfast.
Inspire the next generation of young fans and celebrate the spirit of the game on Talk Sport with Barclays, championing the true spirit of the game. Listen throughout the day for the chance to win a pair of tickets to take a young fan to their very first Barclays Premier League match. Win an unforgettable experience that will last a lifetime. Play first games on Talk Sport with Barclays, championing the true spirit of the game. For full terms and conditions, go to talksport.com/competitions.
Christmas 2015 on Talk Sport.
Back of the net!
Pull your stockings up.
I was going to say like a virgin, but for some ridiculous reason I thought that might be not suitable for our family show.
In relation to what?
In relation to Laika, the Russian dog.
Laika,
like a virgin.
Oh, I see.
You get it now?
Yeah, well, I kind of, but it's a very tenuous
it's not at all tenuous.
Association,
How about
it?
this from Michael?
Yes.
He says, he's texted us into 81089. He says, Porky and a monkey are blasted into orbit. The monkey opens its instructions. 1, switch on ignition for rocket boosters. 2, ignite boosters. 3, check all instruments functioning correctly. 4, report to ground control. Porky opens his instructions. Don't forget to feed the monkey. The old ones are the best.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Now, here's one from Dools who says, greetings, Mike. I finally get to listen to the show live tonight instead of on a podcast while walking my dog.
Oh,
Just
good.
a shame it's from a hospital bed in a very busy ward in Arrow Park on the Wirral.
Oh.
He says, Porky will know it well.
I've been in that hospital. When I was about 6 months old, I had to be taken into Arrow Park to have a ball of fat removed from my stomach.
They're trying to have you put down.
No. I had a mystery ball of fat in my stomach, which meant
A mystery
that I could...
ball of fat?
Yeah.
In your stomach?
Yeah, in my stomach, yeah.
Had you swallowed something?
No, I don't know what it was. It was some kind of growth or something, and
Really?
I couldn't eat
You've
any
never
food.
told this story before.
No,
So you were in a very pretty perilous state then at 6 months.
I was in a very perilous state.
Did they hook you up to a drip and everything?
Well, I can't remember because I was only like 6 months or 8 months
your mother
old.
would have told you.
She didn't. She never talks about it. She's never wanted to talk about it. All she ever told me was that it was
So you had a mystery ball of fat in your stomach.
Yeah, seriously. And
bizarre.
And she said it was it was a terribly tense time and all that. And my mum and dad came to see me every day.
That's nice of them.
My dad was a travelling salesman.
Yeah.
And
how long were you in there for?
10 days.
Blimey.
And then on the 10th day. This is the miracle story she tells. The nurse said, OK, you can take him home.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any facilities or anything. So I was wrapped up in my father's overcoat.
Yeah.
And she took me home
Why
sitting
didn't she
on...
bring a blanket?
Well, they didn't know they could take me home. And wrapped me up in my father's overcoat, sitting on her knee in the Morris Minor on the way back to Chester.
Well, had they removed the ball of fat by this time?
Yes, they'd moved it, yeah.
What did they do with it?
Well, I've no idea. I don't know. It's a stupid question, isn't it? I
Well,
don't
you
know.
born with it?
But I was born with it, apparently,
Really?
yeah. But no, but the interesting thing
You're
is...
quite a freak of nature, really, aren't you?
The interesting thing is, do you know what? Sometimes, you get flashbacks and all this kind of stuff.
Do you?
And sometimes
I
can see an orange light going whoosh, 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 whoosh. And do you know what I think that was?
What, the motorway?
No,
The road?
I think it was the lights. I think it was the street lights on the road as we were going home from hospital.
Well, why would you suddenly see that?
Because if you think about it, if I was sitting on my...
You see that every night when you drive home from here.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if I was on my mum's knee in the passenger seat of the Morris Minor, and by the way, there
Very
were
dangerous,
there were no
by the way.
seatbelts in those days.
No, of course not, no.
There were no seatbelts at all. I could have gone
you should
straight
have
through
at
the
least sat in the
windscreen
back.
window. Yeah,
You should have sat
exactly.
in the
Yeah.
back.
No, she was sitting in the front. She
Yeah.
said, I'm not sitting in the back, and sitting in the front. And I have this vague memory
How
of...
very sort of good-spirited of her.
Yeah, and I'm sure that I saw the orange road lights flashing by as we were going home. Anyway...
I think you should go and see a psychiatrist.
and see a psychiatrist, yeah, well,
How about
you've
this
said
one?
that a few times.
From Ian in Port Talbot. Hi, Mike and Mike. Great show. Hugh Jenkins has control issues. He's trying to control so much of the club. He's in danger of losing control.
Yes.
Gary Monk never bought the players he was asked to work with. There are good managers on the doorstep. And
Yes.
he's winging about all over the world.
Yes.
The ship is sinking and he's at the helm.
Well, I don't think it's sinking, but I do think there'd been an easier way to have stabilised it, and that would have been for... I mean, I don't think Gary Monk should have left anyway. I don't think he should have been shown the door. But if they were going to show him the door, they should have had an immediate replacement to come in, and I think that man should have had a better feel for what's required to stay in the Premier League, because it's not good, in my view, not good at all, that a guy's going to come from South America and try and find his feet. Look how...
I hope he gets Marcelo Bielsa, because I think the guy would be, like Klopp has been, a great addition to the Premier League.
I don't.
He's a character.
Well, I think it'd be a disaster for Swansea.
No,
he may be a character, but the trouble with characters is they think it's all about them and not about the club that they're going to.
I hate people like that.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah.
And Excuse me, what I'm saying is, have you seen how difficult it is for Remy Gard to appreciate what's needed to survive in the Premier League?
Well, I mean he's
really
got an
is,
uphill task, extraordinaire, isn't
Who did he had a good result in his first game. He drew 0-0 with who?
No, didn't they got control in Manchester City?
Manchester City, that's right. Yeah. And that's the only point he's won, isn't it, so far?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, it is, it is. And so that, that has been a blinking disaster.
Yeah.
So
Kieran says this, at the 2 mics, Leica is called Leica because it means barker in Russian. Nothing to do with cameras.
Barker? What's barker? What do you mean?
A barker as in a dog barks.
Rubbish.
Or sometimes you can call a barker one of those guys that speaks after the during those sort of formal dinners.
The barker, that's right. Yeah,
the barker will sort of announce things during the course of the
dinner.
Here,
which book did this come from?
What?
Remember, Barkus is a willing.
Barkus is willing. Yes, I do remember that.
Barkus is a willing.
Barkus is willing. That was one of Dickens' books, wasn't it?
Barkus is a willing.
Was it not? What was it? Was it David Copperfield?
David Copperfield.
Yeah.
It was,
there
indeed. Yeah.
Thank you very
not
much.
Bad. Not
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
Now, let's see what we got here.
Yes.
Here's one from somebody called Boy. Who says the Russians have adopted the word plank.
The Russians have what?
Adopted the word plank. And Lee says, after Wenger, how long has Martinez been in the job? Maybe Roberto Martinez is the longest serving after Wenger.
Well, he may. Yeah, he's been there longer than Jose. He may well be. He may well be.
Peter says, I'm staggered by Porky's self-belief. Every time he is corrected, he says, that's what I said, and carries on.
Yes. Well, people don't often understand the interpretation of the words I use in the English language. Being an expert in the English language, I sometimes use vernacular or ancient interpretation of the words. It's as simple as that.
Mr. Smith says Unai Emery should wait for the Arsenal job to open up. Is he that good, this guy?
I don't know about that. I don't know if he is that good at all, to be honest.
And somebody calls himself Rogerisation.
Rogerisation.
Has tweeted a picture of Abraham Grant and called him the South Coast Rogeriser.
Oh, now, come on.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
This is a family show, and we don't really go in for those sort of things, But nevertheless, he's a very colourful man, Abraham Grant. Very colourful indeed.
Dave says, orange lights going whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. That's the gritters going past the window, Porky.
That's a bit harsh.
That is a bit harsh.
Now,
what else have you got for us? After this ball of fat, the mystery ball of fat story.
Yeah, what do you mean?
What else have you got?
What are you talking about?
Well, you must have something else you want to tell us about.
No,
your bizarre childhood.
No.
Locked out of all restaurants where they had an odd number of seats, right?
No, don't be
ridiculous. Made to
ridiculous.
stare in the window.
No, don't be ridiculous.
Now, can you now tell us you've had a mystery ball of fat lodged in your stomach?
I did,
from birth.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Anyway, listen, what I want to tell you about is this. Do you know who I think are some of the most miserable people in the world?
Who?
Those people...
Traffic wardens.
No. Worse than that. These people who send you a Christmas card, which you get very early on.
Yeah.
And do you know why?
Why?
Because they put a second-class stamp on it
some
and sent it
like
a month before
Christmas. I don't mind
Christmas.
that. I don't mind that.
A second-class stamp?
Yeah, but why do you care?
I feel insulted when I get a Christmas card
a friend of mine, actually, my ex-wife once sent out a load of Christmas cards with second-class stamps because I tend not to send them, to be honest. I normally leave that to somebody else. And,
why would you do that?
And she sent all these Christmas cards out, and I got a lot of abuse from people.
I'm not surprised.
They rang me and said, how dare you send me a second-class stamp
I totally agree.
on a Christmas card? That's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It's
well, you said something to do with you, but
if my wife at the time had decided to send all the Christmas cards out, it's not anything I can control.
Well, I mean, you control the budget. You should have said to her, no, we'll have first time. And the difference.
Well, but this was a woman who wanted to save money on stamps.
Do you know
and then went to Harrods and spent about $5,000 on furniture.
Exactly. Do you know how much a first-class stamp costs?
No.
It's over...
I hardly ever post anything.
It's over 60p.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm sure it's over 60p.
You sure?
Yeah,
I was going to say it's about 40.
No, I think it's over 60p.
I have not posted anything I can't remember the last time I posted anything.
Do you know what? I remember as a kid, and I can't put this into sort of comparison. A stamp used to cost like 4 pence or something. Right, what are you laughing at? What's your problem?
Sorry, I was just seeing a tweet from somebody called Deaf.
Called what? Deaf?
It says Deaf, yeah. This is born with a ball of fat. The medical term is stomach, which he still has.
Very funny. No, it wasn't. It was a ball of fat in my stomach.
I've never heard anything so ridiculous.
No, well, what do you mean?
I don't believe it.
What can I tell you? What
I
do you
don't
mean?
believe you
What,
had
you
a ball
think I
of fat?
suddenly made this up?
Well, I know. I think your parents, who were in the process of psychologically torturing you, also then told you, just for good measure, by the way, you were born with a mysterious and unexplained ball of fat in your stomach.
Yeah.
That's never happened to anyone.
Well, it happened to me.
It couldn't have happened to you.
It happened to me. I mean, what can I tell you? What am I supposed to say? That, my mother decided to lie to me when I was just 6 months old.
Well, maybe there was another
Why would
reason.
you do that for?
Well, maybe there was some other reason you were in hospital and they don't want to tell you what the real reason was.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. What, I had some sort of terminal illness or something? Well, not terminal,
no,
I'm still here, obviously.
Not.
Yeah, but, some sort of ghastly illness.
Maybe you're in for a brain transplant or something. You're born without a brain.
No, don't be silly. I tell you what, it would be interesting to know whether or not it had something to do with the old ticket, you see. They might have thought,
a ball of fat.
Well, I don't know. No, maybe it wasn't a ball of fat. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was the old, oh, look, he got a bit of murmur in his heart or something like that.
Well, it could have been. And maybe she didn't want to tell you that because you might have worried about it. So instead she made up this story, which would kind of keep you, because she knew how gullible you were, even at 6 months old. She'd tell you anything.
Yes, well, that's...
just tell him he's had a big bowl of fat just removed from his stomach.
Honest to God,
have you got a scar? Did they operate on you?
Well...
What do you mean, well?
I don't know where they operated, so I don't know.
Well, they must have removed the ball of fat.
Well, I suppose so, yeah, but they could have done that through my belly button.
Put a load of fairy liquid down your throat.
Don't be ridiculous. Honestly. Sometimes some of the things you come out with are not just offensive, but quite idiotic and an insult to the intelligence
surely if they cut
of our readership.
You must have a scar. Readership?
Of our listenership.
You must have a scar.
No, well, I probably have, but your scars...
I don't want to look for it, by the way.
You grow out of scars, don't you, as you get older?
No, the whole point is you have a scar for life.
Funny enough, I've still got a scar on my head there where a man in a bar in Mallorca punched me and I needed 16 stitches.
Oh, this was when you were younger, right?
Yes, that's when I was younger, that's when I was 18. And he stuck me for some other rioting Englishman that wasn't me.
Well, I've still got a scar on my thumb where I cut it when I was working in a bakery and I was trying to open something with a rather large knife.
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
I sliced a bit off the top of my thumb.
I think you told me about that, and
although maybe it's nearly disappeared now.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You see, as you grow up, they
but this was not a massive scar across my abdomen where they'd opened me up to remove a big, massive ball of fat.
Well, I can't help you with that one. How would I know? Yeah, don't worry about the time because
I am worried about it.
There is plenty of time to pursue these issues.
Yes,
don't worry
there
about
is.
it.
Now, coming over the next hour, we're going to talk about a subject very close to your heart. And that is, of course, the environmental damage that we're all doing to the planet.
Yes.
Or not, as the case may be. But apparently, did you know that 76% of all butterflies
I did know.
in this nation have disappeared?
I have a report
over
on
the past 40 years.
I have a report on it.
Well, we're talking to a butterfly expert.
Excellent. Good.
So I hope you won't be as routine as you were to the moth expert.
No, I won't be at all.
Excellent.
I'm delighted.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and of course there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. There's a few unkind tweets coming in about your unfortunate situation as a child. There's a picture of a monkey here with a big roll of fat coming out of him.
Yes.
This is Porky, aged 6 months, with his ball of fat. Tom says Porky's scar from his ball of fat removal is hidden by his hair. Not quite sure I've got that.
No.
And here's one from Lee, who says he's found a personalised exercise plan for Porky with his dodgy ticker, and it's all about planking. Do you remember that planking thing, that fake? We were going to do that, weren't we?
We did actually a few years back.
No, we never did it.
No, don't you lie on a plank somewhere?
No, you lie as a plank.
That's what I mean. We did that.
No, I didn't do it.
I did. I did it on an ironing board, I think, in the other studio a couple of years back. Okay. Yeah, we did, yeah.
How about this one from Paul? He says, hello, Mike. So just to let you know, the DVD has landed in Japan. Luckily, customs have never heard Mr. Parry's ramblings.
That's excellent. Yeah. So far we know it's been to New Zealand, Australia, America, several in America, Japan, Shanghai. I think it went to Shanghai. Yeah, Shanghai. Yeah.
To Chinese, let it in.
I think so, yeah.
Pumpty says, did the ball of fat come in a tin?
Oh, don't be silly.
And Becky says, Hollywood blockbuster needs to be made on Porky's life. A brilliant role for Johnny Depp, who was great in Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands, that was a terrible film.
Maxwell says, Porky couldn't have been in Arrow Park Hospital at 6 months old. It was only founded in 1982.
No, it wasn't.
Well, that's what he says.
No, I'm sorry. Arrow Park Hospital's been there for at least 100 years. I know that for a fact.
Really?
Oh, Arrow Park Hospital's been part of the Wirral. It's based right next to a golf course, to my memory. Yeah, yeah.
Is that Arrow Park golf course?
I think so, yeah, seriously.
Okay.
And
it's not an area I know well.
It's been there forever. If you ask Beaky, who lives just round the corner, by the way, he'll tell you it's been there forever, seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brendan says, seeing as Porky's now a fully fledged astronaut, perhaps he should volunteer to be the next Virgin Galactic test pilot.
I don't think so.
You've never fancied going up into space, have you?
Sorry?
You've never fancied going up into space?
I certainly have.
I thought you said you didn't...
dollars to go and explore space, because I don't think there's anything left to explore. Space is so infinite.
There's loads left to explore.
No, it's not. Space is so infinite that even if you said to a guy at the age of 21, now, look, the average age now of a human being is 80, right? And do you realise that if you said to that guy, now, look, here's the life plan, you are going to be an astronaut, but you're only going on one mission.
Yeah.
And he said, right. And what we do is we put you in this rocket, and we're going to fire this rocket off from here, and then due to the gravitational pull of planets right across the solar system, this rocket will just keep going and you will stay in it until you're 80.
Yeah.
And just report back everything you see on your mission and tell us when you get to the first planet. Do you know what? He would never get to a planet.
Well, he'd never get to any planet.
He'd never get to any planet.
In 80 years.
In 80 years.
Are you
he'd never
sure?
get. I'm certain.
Right.
I'm certain.
Okay.
I'm certain. They're just too far away.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but we've talked about this before. As long as they get the jet propulsion scenario faster, it could happen, right?
Well, only if they get one that's faster than the speed of light, which is most unlikely. To build a machine that travels faster than the speed of light is so incomprehensible to the human brain at the moment. It's never going to happen, is it?
Right. Lee says, I still think the Royal Mail is a bargain. 60p is nothing in today's terms to send a letter or a card anywhere in the country.
Well, I think it is compared to the fact that, it used to be, very modest, 12p, 15p, something like that, didn't it?
Years ago.
Yeah, but not that many years ago.
Last time I checked or knew...
Not that many years
last
ago.
Time I knew what the price was probably several years ago. It was about 35p.
Was it? I didn't realise it was that much a few years ago. I thought it shot up from, the average of about 10, 12, 15p to about 50p, sort of almost overnight, and then incrementally since then. But anyway.
Now, a lot of people are saying Mark Hughes at Stoke City, which I must presume is in reference to the longest-serving manager.
Yes, probably.
So you think Mark Hughes has been there longer than Roberto Martinez?
Oh, probably 3 or 4 years, something like that.
And Eddie Howe is actually mentioned as well, although technically he hasn't been. He's been manager of Bournemouth for a long time, but he hasn't been.
He had a 1-year break, didn't he?
But also he hasn't been in the Premier League.
No, he hasn't been in the Premier League. You're absolutely right.
So maybe Mark Hughes is the guy.
Maybe it is, definitely. Yeah. Now then, what I need to talk to you about, is flying, right?
Flying?
Now, I'll tell you why.
Why?
Do you know that secretly, airlines, according to a report I've read from my aviation journals, have a new class of seat called last class, which is what you're given.
This one below economy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're given that if you don't want to pay for any sort of perks and all that kind of stuff, okay?
Didn't they have a different name for it, though? Because it's not a very sexy name, though. Nobody's going to buy it.
No. It's not a recognised class at all. It's where you get dumped into if you don't want to pay for one of the perks or something like that. So passengers can expect to find themselves squashed closer together, unable to change flights without high fees, and even charged extra for sitting next to the window.
So it's a bit like doing a kind of a Ryanair on every single flight.
Absolutely. The new class has been brought in to challenge the no-frills airlines, such as Ryanair and EasyJet, industry experts say.
Yeah.
And while the term last class is not an official expression, analysts say it is being used informally to refer to seats that are worse than those in standard economy.
Well, to be honest, I don't think it would necessarily be a bad thing because, the idea that you now have all sorts of perks when you sit on a plane in economy is rubbish.
Yeah.
They might give you one drink when you get on, not when you get on, but once they've taken off and, the seatbelt signs have come down.
Yes.
They're very, very slow about it. They give you a meal. Which is generally speaking pretty inedible, and then they give you a glass of wine or something.
Well, funny as you say that. I came back differently to you from Scotland. I came back on a BA flight to Heathrow.
Yeah.
And they gave me a beautiful breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. It was a lovely breakfast.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't eat egg.
Yeah, they always did that.
But there was loads of...
What did they give you?
Poached egg, bacon, sausage, tomato... bread and butter roll.
Yeah.
It was very, very nice
when you
indeed.
say beautiful, I mean, it wasn't as beautiful as the breakfast that I had in the hotel.
Well, of course it wasn't, but it was on an aeroplane, wasn't it? At 35,000 feet or something.
It can't be that good. It's rehydrated, horrible.
To me, it tasted okay. Now,
how did you eat the egg then?
I didn't eat the egg.
What did you do with the egg?
I gave it to the woman next to me.
You gave her the egg?
Yeah.
Well, how did you manage to do that?
I just said, I don't eat egg. Would you like this? She said, oh, yes, thank you very much. Yeah.
Such a charmer.
Well,
so why did you just scrape it off your plate and into hers?
No, it was in a foil container separately. So
the egg was?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Oh, right.
So I said, here, I'll have it. And
was it a poached egg?
No, not poached. Not poached.
I mean, fried?
No, poached. Poached egg. Poached egg,
definitely. Why
definitely.
give you a poached egg on a plane?
What is it? What's egg when it's just like a yellow mass? Is that poached?
No, that's scrambled.
Scrambled. It was scrambled egg. That's right, scrambled egg. It was, yeah. No, sorry, I don't eat eggs, do I? It was scrambled egg. Now, listen, the other thing is, which is even...
I'm here for the yellow mass. It sounds like some religious experience.
It does, yeah. Now, this is even more incredible, right?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, go on.
Now that's the lowest end of the seating, right? And it goes on to say passengers with these sort of tickets often cannot make changes, they can't get a refund, they can't choose seats in advance.
Yeah.
The seats that are represented by last class are those at the back of the plane.
Yeah.
They're often noisier or next to the toilet,
right.
So the aisle fills up with queuing passengers standing around.
But they can sell those already at a regular economy price, so why would they suddenly sell them for less money?
I don't know. And an expert says last class exists because the airlines are a business. The airlines that really need to meet their bottom line in a big way are going to push the limits of what they can get away with.
Right.
Now, to contrast that, right, which is the last class, you won't believe what I've come across. I've come across...
What have you come across?
Well, in my aviation journals, the prospect of... I'm going to show you this picture now. Think of an aeroplane flying through the sky at 35,000 feet with a little glass bubble in the top of it where you can buy the most expensive seat on the plane, the two most expensive seats, where you sit right at the top, but not like in a jumbo with the rest of the plane around you.
Towards the middle of the plane.
You sit in a bubble of glass. That is your seat. So it's like being in the cockpit of a fighter pilot's plane. You see what I mean? Right. And that is your journey. You get a 360-degree view of the sky around you and above you.
But then why do just an ordinary seat then? Why put just an ordinary seat in there? It looks like you would want to have a sort of one that reclines properly.
Well, I think you probably would. But, I mean, that would be the most expensive seat on the plane.
Yeah.
And only 2 people get to sit in those seats.
That seems a bit elitist to me, that.
Well, do you know what they're thinking of doing? They're thinking it's such a good idea, you know, just to give it the impression to our listeners, a glass bubble on the top of the plane with 2 seats in it, so you see panoramically all the sky around you. Like a separate cockpit. Yeah. But what they're saying is that if that was a transatlantic flight, which takes maybe 6 hours, they might rent out those seats an hour at a time to 6 different groups of passengers.
Really?
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I
think that's a bit of a gimmick, isn't it?
Well, I think it's fantastic. Oh, I would.
You would? Of course you would.
I would. It would be absolutely fantastic.
Can you imagine the poor sod that has to sit there next to you?
Well, no, you'd go with your wife or your girlfriend or something like that. It'd be special. Well, I'd find one. Or find a companion or something like that, you know what I mean? But I mean, that would be the most magnificent experience, wouldn't it?
No.
It really would.
Well, it wouldn't be any good at night, would it?
Yeah, it would. It'd be even better at night.
Why?
You'd be flying beneath the stars or above the stars. No, above the clouds. Sorry, above the clouds, beneath the stars. Don't be ridiculous. You know exactly what I mean. Yeah?
Yeah, I felt it was 2-dimensional.
No, it's not 2-dimensional. It's multi-dimensional.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I think it's brilliant.
4 dimensions.
I think
in a plane.
I think it's absolutely. It's called the Sky Deck.
Yeah,
and it can be installed on existing aircraft.
Deck, I would call it.
It can be installed on existing aircraft without threatening the stability of the plane.
Yeah, never mind that. We've got to go because the time is of the essence. Coming up next, we'll get some more of your emails and your tweets. This is Talk Sport.
Driving experiences at Mercedes-Benz World are the perfect Christmas gift. From under 17s driving to 4x4 and high-performance AMG experiences on our handling circuits, there's something for everyone. Prices start at just £45. Call 0370 400 4000 or visit mercedes-benzworld.co.uk to buy yours today. Mercedes-Benz World at Brooklands, just off Junction 10 on the M25.
Hi, Susie Perry here, Queen of Tech. This Christmas, there are lots of ways to treat loved ones. You could feed them an endless supply of mince pies and an indigestion tablet, or you could treat them to a digital radio. Along with all their favourites, they'll be able to listen to extra digital stations, including lots of new stations launching in the new year. So enough of the mince pies, add a little digital sparkle to someone's Christmas. Treat them to a digital radio.
Check which stations you can get at getdigitalradio.com.
If you love radio, give digital.
Bienvenue au weekend sports breakfast avec Michelle Quinn and Georgie Bingham, Sir Talk Sport with Benno Vance. It's the breakfast show that cooks up a souffle of sport and a pan au chocolat of pre-match build-up every Saturday and Sunday morning on Talk Sport. The hors d'oeuvre to another big weekend feast of football.
Hey, La, does anyone know the French from meat pie?
The Weekend Sports Breakfast with Mickey Quinn and Georgie Bingham. Saturday and Sunday mornings from 7 on Talk Sport with Benno Vance. 4 years warranty and roadside assistance as standard. Ooh la la.
Listen to Kick Off with Mark Saggers tonight from 7 and everything will be all right.
You got anything better to do tonight?
Kick Off with Mark Saggers.
Baking a cake.
Tonight from 7.
Hanging the curtains.
On Talk Sport.
Washing the dishes.
Here comes the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell for one time he could have been the champion of the world.
It's not a great song, that, isn't it? Hurricane.
Who's that?
It's Bob Dylan.
I know. I wanted Bob Dylan's song, but You see, I don't recognise that as a typical Bob Dylan song.
What do you mean?
Well, Bob Dylan songs usually just got him sitting there strumming a guitar, singing Blowing in the Wind and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's Blowing in the Wind. I mean, he's playing a guitar there.
Yeah, but that's an electric guitar, wasn't it?
Yeah, he plays an electric guitar.
Well, didn't he sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Didn't he let all his fans down at the Isle of Wight festival by going electric or something?
Well, he's done that all his career, really.
Has he?
Yeah, I mean, he turns up and he plays, like, he puts an album out and decides to go and do a show, but then doesn't play any of the songs that everybody wants to hear.
Is that right? Didn't know that.
Sometimes he had a period where he had a sort of rock and roll band.
Yeah.
You know, it's all fascinating stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, look, the reason we're playing all that is because from one of my medical journals, right, I have discovered that 727 times since 1970, leading medical professors, practitioners and lecturers have inserted a Bob Dylan line from one of his songs into one of their addresses to scientific conferences and all this kind of stuff.
It seems remarkable because supposedly the story says that nobody picked up on this and it was all very surreptitious.
It's only just been discovered.
Yeah, but surely whoever was reading these documents must have recognised
you'd have thought so.
Because it sticks out like a sore thumb, doesn't it?
You'd have thought so. Oh, let's not use too many cliches, shall we? Sticks out like a sore thumb.
What's wrong with that?
That's your line, is it? To try and imitate what's happening with the Bob Dylan lines, yeah?
What?
Yes?
No.
Yes?
I just said it sticks out like a sore thumb because it does. If you read the passage,
anyway,
I defy you not to realise that it's a Bob Dylan lyric.
Right. There was a stem cell investigation titled Like a Rolling Histone.
Yeah.
Histone.
So it's not very subtle, is it?
Histone, histone.
Yeah,
that's a lump, in your kidneys and all that kind of stuff.
Or a ball of fat.
Yeah, that's right, sort of thing. A germination study entitled Knocking on Pollen's Door.
Yeah, I mean, this is not
exactly...
a bit
obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit obvious. Are you going to tell me that all these scientists didn't know what was going on?
Well, that's what they say. But this came from the Journal of Practical Nursing, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
And,
is that one of the ones you get on a regular basis?
Sorry?
Is that one of the ones you get on a regular basis?
No, what I was going to say was the Journal of Practical Nursing was the first one to have used the title. It's now been discovered when they said that, the nursing industry is going through tremendous change. The times they are a-changing was the second line in the piece.
Yeah.
And this was all discovered by the British Medical Journal. And the guy who's the librarian says it was an extraordinary trend. He said it's amazing the number of times they've used a Bob Dylan line.
Yeah, but they can't surely expect us to believe that nobody noticed.
Well, it says here, if people didn't notice, they can't understand why. Scientists from Sweden's Karolinska Institute, for instance, found that to date there have been at least 727 Dylan references in medical literature. 135 of those were a variant of The Times They're A-Changing, and 36 were Blowing in the Wind.
Right.
It's ridiculous they didn't notice before now.
Well, they must have done.
Well, I don't know.
They must have been just a big in-joke and nobody outside of their sort of scientific community actually noticed. Funnily enough, Sandy Wall mentioned something about this on the show yesterday.
Yes.
And she said, and I think you'll remember this, was there not something that England players did during some series of press conferences where they implanted the name of a song or something like that?
I think there was something like that, but I'm not sure who it was centred around. I'm sure it was one particular group. Like
I don't think it was. I think it was just song titles or something like that.
I see, yeah. Anyway, some journals who do this are obscure, so that's why it wasn't noticed immediately. You know, some are literally or a pamphlet, distributed to a few doctors who look after toenails or something like that.
What?
But, or something like that.
Doctors who look after toenails?
Yeah.
What do you call them?
Oh, I don't know, specialist in chiropodists, I suppose, look after toenails, don't they? And 6 of the references in the 727 were actually from the prestigious journal Nature, which is nothing to do with medicine. It's more to do with the environment.
Is it?
The work goes some way to rebalancing the Dr. Dylan relationship. Recent evidence suggests
What's the Dr. Dylan relationship?
I'm about to explain it to you.
Okay.
You just keep quiet for a minute.
Apparently it was Euro 96 where the players did that.
Euro 96, that's right,
When you were at the FA then?
No, just left. Yeah. No, I was actually. Yeah, 96.
Yeah.
Hang on, was I? I can't remember. No, I wasn't. I'd left. Right. Now, the word goes some way. Yeah. Recent evidence suggests that Dylan has a great deal of respect for the medical profession.
Oh, yeah?
Says an editorial in the BMJ.
Yeah.
In fact, in the song Don't Fall Apart on Me Tonight, which was recorded in the early 1980s, Dylan laments in his lyrics, I wish I'd have been a doctor. Maybe I'd have saved some life that had been lost. Maybe I'd have done some good in the world. instead of burning every bridge I crossed. So that's why they like him, because he wanted to be a doctor. And he said that in that song.
Okay. It's a bit shallow, isn't it?
But does this, it says here in this editorial, but does the medical profession show the same respect for Dylan? The number of articles citing his work suggests that it does. It's all amazing stuff, this, you know. He says, now that it has been discovered, now that it's been discovered by these researchers, right, it is believed that this practice will now stop, or will it encourage more? Maybe every researcher feels he or she is unique in doing this, says Mr. Gornitsky. Mr. Gornitsky...
Well, how has this been uncovered suddenly?
Well, this guy is, I told you about him, is the librarian guy, OK?
Yeah.
Scientists from Sweden...
I smell a rat here. I think it's some kind of PR stuff.
No, Karolinska Institute found the 727, and this guy Gornitsky, who's their librarian, apparently, quite an extraordinary trend, said Carl Gornitsky, librarian at the What are you laughing at?
Because you just said all that, now you're reading
hang on. Librarian at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden.
I know it well.
I just told you that,
Do you remember that guy at the Express, which was after you left, after I left as well? He was the leader writer. And he's
What's his name?
I'm not going to give you his name.
Is it Derek Hill?
No, not him. No, no, he left before that.
Oh, OK.
We won't mention about the other business with him. But anyway.
Oh, Derek?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, don't say anything about him. You know, because that may be...
Did it involve a female?
It did, yeah.
Okay,
yeah. I'm not going to tell you her name either.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, there was another guy who came along slightly later on, and he had some falling out with Richard Desmond. And in his final leader, before he departed, he started... It's 14 paragraphs, right? And he started each of the paragraphs with a letter, which when you spelt it out...
It's each of the lines, actually.
No, it was paragraphs.
I thought it was each line.
No, it was because you can't do that, because it would have to be set in a particular way. But with paragraphs, you could do it.
I thought it was a leader that went down in a single column, and I thought it was every line.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
But anyway, it said...
It said F off Desmond,
that's
basically,
right, yes,
if you added up all the letters together.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And he was rather stupid, because not only was he going, because he knew he was going, but they stopped him getting a payoff.
Well, not only that...
They called it gross misconduct.
Not only that, do you know where he was going? He was going to the Times as leader writer.
That's right,
and when the Times discovered what he'd done, they cancelled his contract. He didn't get his job there. He didn't get his payoff at the Express. He actually...
So it was a bit daft, really, all round.
And he did it because he objected to Richard Desmond's approach to the profession of journalism. That's what it was all about. Yeah. However, today, he is the editor of another newspaper.
He is indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
not a Fleet Street paper, exactly.
Well, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
They're based. Actually, they're one of the few papers based just off Fleet Street.
Well, they may still well be, but that's enough clues about him.
Yes.
How about this from Richard? Who starts off by saying, "Sorry, Mr. Graham," which is the guy that said that he mistook me for you.
Yes.
Mr. Parry called Star City Space City and said they launched from there, which they didn't. It was an astronaut training centre, later a Concorde passenger training centre.
Yes.
To be fair, the Russians did everything first, apart from land on the moon.
Sorry, Concorde passenger training centre.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go to a training school before I got on the Concorde.
Well, maybe you needed to.
No, I didn't. What is a Concorde passenger training
centre?
centre?
Richard, I've no idea.
Ridiculous, honestly. Some people send you an awful lot of tosh, don't they?
Here's one from Pumpty who says, it takes 6 months to get to Mars. What's Porky going on about?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can't land on Mars. What I'm saying is, if they said to him, like, get in this spaceship, you're 21...
Well, they've landed... They landed that... what was it?
The thing that bounced,
the thing that died and broke down.
That's right.
I was going to say Biggles,
and then came alive again.
What was it called? It had a name though, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what
it
was.
A dog-related name.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you see, you don't follow the argument properly. I'm saying the guy in the spaceship who gets in at 21 and dies in the spaceship at 80, he could be in the ship all that time and never find a planet he could land on and get out of the spaceship in. Well, that's what I'm saying.
You mean because of the way that the environment would be unfriendly?
Exactly. I'm saying no.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't mean that it's too far to land on a planet.
You can't find a habitable planet within the lifetime of a human being in a spaceship in this universe that we live in, or the solar system,
stop looking,
or anything else, the Milky Way, call it whatever you want. You know how many planets there are out there?
Paul from Torquay.
Billions.
Paul from Torquay says, I think Mr. Parry would be an ideal candidate for the first man to land on the sun.
Why do you find that so amusing? It's such a silly joke. Why do you find that so amusing?
Because I have this vision of you careering towards the sun.
Right, like Iscarius.
Yeah, what?
Like Iscarius.
Who?
Iscarius.
Iscarius?
Yes.
Who's that?
He's the guy who tried to...
Icarus?
Icarus, yeah. He tried to...
You're talking about Judas Iscarius, are you?
No, he tried to escape with a pair of false eagle's wings tied on with wax But he got too close to the sun and the wax melted and he fell to earth and died.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, his name was Icarus.
Yeah, OK. Well, same thing, isn't it?
Not really.
Just a question of interpretation.
Anyway, now, listen, we've got to talk about butterflies coming
Well,
up.
I'm interested in that. That's
I
good.
want to get very serious.
Excellent.
And we will find out why all these butterflies are disappearing. We're going to talk to Arthur Shapiro, who's a distinguished professor, I want you to know, of evolution and ecology.
Good.
At California University, Davis.
I'm delighted.
This is Talk Sport.
The Barclays Premier League on Talk Sport. 100% football all weekend, every weekend.
Oh my word, he's put it beyond the goalkeeper.
Saturday afternoon from 5, Newcastle versus Aston Villa.
He shoots it the post and scores. What a finish by Iosi Perez.
Sunday from 1, Watford versus Liverpool.
A goal fitting to win any game of football.
Plus, around the grounds with live reports from every game throughout the season. Official partner of the Barclays Premier League. Talk Sport.
Love is like a butterfly, as soft and gentle as a sigh. The multicolored moods of love are like its satin wings. Love makes your heart feel strange inside. It flutters like soft wings in flight. Love is like a butterfly, a rare and gentle thing.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. That's about your era of television, that. Do you remember that?
What's that?
That song.
What, from the sort of 70s?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I
It
don't.
was a sitcom called Butterflies.
Oh, was it?
With
Oh.
Wendy Craig.
Oh, right,
You don't
OK.
remember that?
No, I don't, actually.
I'm surprised.
But nevertheless, it's rather a nice tune.
Yeah, it was rather a nice tune. Lots and lots of texts and tweets have come in.
Yes.
I will hold on to them until such time. Although I must read this one out from Tom. The Mars probe, he says, I think, was called Beagle 1. It was.
It was indeed.
That was the one that went up there and sort of, was never heard from again.
Yes.
Because it crashed and burned, basically.
Yes, that's right.
Let's talk to Arthur Shapiro, though, because we've been very disturbed to see a report that came out this week saying that basically 75%, I should say,
Terrible.
of all butterfly species in this
disappeared.
country seem to be disappearing, and we're not quite sure why. Arthur, very good morning to you.
Hello.
Thanks very much for joining us. What's going on with the butterfly species in the UK?
Well, of course, I am located in California.
Right.
And my research is done regionally here in Western North America. You have many authorities in the UK which has perhaps the richest tradition of butterfly study in the world.
Has it?
Who would be better qualified to comment on the situation in your country than I would.
Right.
Sure.
Well, unfortunately, they're all asleep, so we
That's
thought we'd
right.
call you.
Yeah,
Arthur.
exactly.
So we were hoping you might be able to shed some light on it for us.
Well, the decline of butterflies is being observed not only in the UK, but in continental Europe, in North America, and perhaps in other regions as well. But it's Europe, the UK, and North America where it's best documented.
Right. And what's happening?
There seem to be several factors at work. Basically, they are land use changes, conversion of habitat, disruption of habitat continuity, which is to say the creation of human-generated barriers to butterfly dispersal and colonization. Okay, that's factor one. Factor two is climate change. And factor three, which is just beginning to receive attention, is pesticides. And in the UK, the pesticide issue is particularly interesting right now because a paper has just been published within the last couple of weeks demonstrating a statistical correlation. And it's only a correlation, and keep in mind that a correlation does not necessarily imply causation. But there is a correlation in the UK between use of neonicotinoid insecticides and butterfly declines. And the most striking aspect of this is that neonics, as they are called, are not being used widely in Scotland, and there is essentially no butterfly decline in Scotland.
This is very interesting. Now, Arthur, butterflies presumably still come from caterpillars, right? And if that's the case...
As far as we know, they did as of yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And so, therefore, shouldn't we be concentrating on the well-being of the caterpillar rather than the butterfly?
Well, the entire life cycle is potentially at risk and definitely of interest. Ecologists develop what are known as life tables, which are statistical summaries of natality and mortality for populations, in which an attempt is made to trace the distribution of mortality through the various life stages to identify the factors most responsible for it.
So do you mean at what point in their stages of life do they die? Or
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we have a population decline, it could be due to factors operating at any point in the life cycle, and the trick is to try to identify where the pinch points are.
It's not like the caterpillars are being eaten by something.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, why don't you let me ask the professor a question?
Because I'm trying
and let him answer it.
I'm trying to follow a line of thought, but you keep interrupting.
You haven't got any lines of thought.
I've got lines of thought. Arthur, what I wanted to say to you, please, because we've established that, thank you very much indeed, is butterflies are very beautiful and everybody likes to see them fluttering around in their orchards and their gardens and their countryside, but do they have any practical use to the ecological well-being of the earth?
Well, they are pollinators, of course, although in temperate latitudes there are very few plants that depend exclusively or primarily on butterflies.
That's what I thought. They're not like bees, for instance. I mean, without bees, we wouldn't have any food on Earth, would we?
Right. On the other hand, and this is something that most people don't realize, caterpillars are eaten by everything.
Right.
Caterpillars are a tremendous food resource for a huge variety of predators, ranging from insects to birds to even mammals. And to that extent,
my dog eats them.
Your dog eats caterpillars?
Yeah. Eats anything.
Butterflies and moths form an integral part of food chains and therefore are important in entire ecosystem.
Yeah. Now, we spoke to a moth expert, funnily enough. I think he was in Arizona some months ago, Arthur, who said that he discovered a new species of moth, which was quite encouraging. Is there any sign that while these species are dying out, there's new species being discovered?
Well, there are always new species being discovered. I work in South America, and I discover species new to science regularly. On the other hand, that doesn't mean they originated last Tuesday. It just means that no one had collected or recognized them as being different before. So, presumably, evolution is still in progress, and speciation is going on even as we speak. But the rate of generation of new species is not likely to match the rate of extinction of existing species under a combination of climate change, land use changes, pesticides, blah, blah. Okay?
Yeah, sure. Arthur, can I ask you this? Has it got anything to do with the increase in the United Kingdom to almost epidemic proportions of Lyme disease? Loads of people are getting struck down by Lyme disease in this country now. We're having to really... Hang on. We're having to really consider whether we can walk in the country anymore because people are getting attacked by these ticks and struck down.
Well, we don't know of any connection of any kind between Lepidoptera, butterflies and moths, and Lyme disease. The ecological context of Lyme disease is pretty well understood. There is a certain connection in eastern North America between Lyme disease and, strangely enough, gypsy moth outbreaks.
There you go.
Now, the gypsy moth is an old world insect which was introduced into North America in the 19th century. Ironically, it is now an endangered species in most of Europe and is quite rare in the UK today. But in North America...
what's happening with Lyme disease and gypsy moth? I'm sorry, I wasn't quite sure.
In North America, where it was introduced without any of its natural enemies, it took off and became one of our worst forest defoliators, forest pests.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, gypsy moth changes the entire ecological dynamics of a forest which is heavily impacted by its caterpillars feeding. And this appears to be related to the dynamics of
You've forgotten.
the ticks, deer, and the entire life cycle of Lyme disease.
I knew it. You see, I knew it. I knew it was all connected. I knew it was all connected.
No, because it's not
But
about...
it's all one species that's involved. And
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
as I say, an introduced naturalized pest, which, interestingly enough, has more or less collapsed in much of its range, so that the problem has abated spontaneously. We believe that many gypsy moth populations have been adversely impacted by a fungus.
Right.
And the fungus is altering the dynamics in a way which will probably reduce the moth contribution to Lyme disease
I knew it.
here. But at any rate, it's irrelevant to the UK because you don't have gypsy moth as a pest. You have gypsy moth as something that collectors are delighted to catch. If they ever find one.
That's true. Well, Arthur, thanks very much indeed. I knew all that. I knew about the connection with Lyme disease. And also, you have confirmed that apart from the fact that butterflies are very beautiful to look at, butterflies, they're a pointless species.
No,
because they don't actually do anything.
That's not what he said at all.
They did.
Arthur, I apologise on behalf of my broadcasting colleague.
Yeah.
Who's an immense ignoramus when it comes
No,
to
no,
these
no, he
things.
did. He said a little bit of pollination, but that's it.
All you want to do is try and prove some measly point that makes out that you're some
Hang
kind
on,
of,
hang
seer
on.
of these things.
Hang on, I told you I'd been studying this for a while about the butterflies disappearing. I put it to one of the world's experts, Arthur Shapiro.
Shapiro?
Yeah, from California.
Yeah.
Anything to do with Lyme disease. You shake your head and guffaw.
Yeah.
And then Arthur says it's got everything to do with Lyme disease when it comes to gypsy
Not
moth.
true.
He did.
How about this from...
He did.
how about this from...
I'm right on the ball on this one, man.
A texter who sent this in. I think it's more likely Mike Parry's got a mystery ball of fat between his ears. This is Talk Sport. Loads more to come.
This season, celebrate the stylish and turn heads without trying. Test drive the striking new Mini Clubman with its beautiful details, generous luggage space, and seating for 5 at an equally stunning price. Make this year extra special. Book now at your nearest Mini Centre or mini.co.uk/Clubman and demand attention without the antlers. Test drive is subject to status and availability.
Ever made a cuppa and just left a teaspoon by the sink? It's only a spoon. Someone else will wash that up. Or spotted a lost glove on the pavement? You could pop it on the railings, or nah, someone else will. Maybe you made an appointment to give blood, but the day comes and you think someone else will do it. They won't miss my donation. Well, you're not the only one. More blood donation appointments are missed at this time of year than at any other. You really matter. So don't leave it to someone else. Book and keep your appointment. Do something amazing. Give blood.
Drive on Talk Sport, the UK's only sports-dedicated drive time with Sky Sports. The sharpest analysis on all the day's action.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Laser-guided comment and rapid reaction from a nation of sports fanatics.
I don't like listening to them, I'll turn off.
Drive home with Darren Gough and Adrian Durham, weekday afternoons from 4 on Talk Sport with Sky Sports. The home of the Barclays Premier League for the next 4 seasons.
Christmas 2015 on Talk Sport. Festive football.
He's done it!
Fans and phone calls.
What do you think of Super Trump?
Ho, ho, ho.
Stimulating late-night sports conversation for people who know that just trying to find someone sober to talk to at this time of night is like trying to find a pig on the moon.
In the early morning mist I see.
No rules news debate from around the world and around the bend. The two mics.
Apply more lager.
On Talk Sport.
Yeah,
it is,
subject to some advert.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sentence. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Look, the reason I was
Why are you playing that?
I was going to talk to you. Well, going back to our New York days and all that, did you realise that the HQ of the Jehovah's Witnesses, because the Jehovah's Witness publication is called the Watchtower,
It is
isn't it?
indeed,
Right? Yeah. And did you realise that they were based in Brooklyn?
Yes.
And did you know...
Do you know why I realised that?
Why?
Because when you look across the Brooklyn Bridge...
That's right.
There's a bloody great building.
And it says the Watchtower.
Watchtower on top of it.
It says 21 degrees Watchtower. the one I've seen today. 'Cause I saw a picture of it today.
Well, no, but I mean, it's a staple built. It's a building.
I know,
that
but
you
it's got a temperature gauge above the word watchtower. That's all I'm saying, you know. And
what you mean that changes when the temperature changes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so it was 21 degrees in Brooklyn today.
That's right. Absolutely.
21 what Fahrenheit?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought they were having a very mild time of it at the moment.
That is mild.
21 degrees Fahrenheit.
No, that's -9.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
That's pretty cold.
Anyway, look, I wouldn't worry about it. The point is...
Are you sure it was the weather you were looking at?
Yeah. The Watchtower building, right. Now, this is a point, because they're a Christian sect.
Yeah.
Founded in Pennsylvania in the 1870s, okay?
Yeah.
But they moved to Brooklyn in 1969.
Okay.
And they bought that building you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
They're selling it.
Are they?
Guess how much they're selling it for?
Well, it's a big building. And Brooklyn is now some places more expensive than Manhattan.
And guess how much they're selling it for?
Well, I don't know, 150 million quid.
$1 billion.
$1 billion?
$1 billion.
Right.
Jehovah's Witnesses.
That doesn't surprise me.
Renowned for ardent evangelism, idiosyncratic interpretation of the Bible.
Idiosyncratic?
Yeah, are about to make a killing on the New York property market. The Christian sect are selling their Watchtower building, the landmark Watchtower building.
Is it landmark? Presumably then, if they make it into flats, they have to keep the outside sort of shape of the building then? The facade?
I don't know.
Do they?
Estate agents estimate it will realise $1 billion from the sale. The church is also selling 36 other properties in surrounding streets in the borough.
Yeah.
I mean, they're property magnates, these
well, as
guys.
my father used to say, the one thing that all religions have got in common is they all have a collection.
A collection of what? Of property?
No, a collection. Every time you go to a church
I
service
see.
of any
Yeah.
kind,
Put money in the
they
collection
all have an
box.
election, yeah.
And they go around buying property, do they?
Well, exactly.
I
didn't think I'd have to explain that.
Eh?
I didn't think I'd have to explain that.
Well, I thought the collection was for the holes in the roof of the church in which you were
of course it's
praying.
not.
Right,
but every religion has, people walking around with a collection plate.
Anyway, they're doing what a lot of people have done in recent years, including Rupert Murdoch, who moved the Star magazine up to Tarrytown, didn't he, out of New York?
Yeah.
And this lot are moving to Warwick, 60 miles north of New York City.
Warwick? Is that in New York State, then?
Well, I suppose it must be. I've
Warwick,
never heard of
Warwick
it.
not in New Jersey?
Eh?
I think it might be in New Jersey.
It says to Warwick, 60 miles north of New York City.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, 60 miles north, probably not Jersey, but I don't know, not sure.
Anyway, officials argue the new headquarters will be more accessible to witnesses from around the country.
Yeah.
Somewhat intimidated sometimes by going to the big city.
I suppose they might be, yeah.
New York City, you know?
Mm.
They say the present space is too intimidating and closed off to accommodate visits from the church's 8 million followers worldwide.
Right,
How about that?
I mean, you still have Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on your door, don't you? I mean, you've never had them at your
I have,
your many properties.
Yeah, I have,
Have you ever engaged them in conversation?
No, I haven't. I've never done that because I know I'm wasting their time.
Yeah.
Because I have no intention of converting to Jehovah's Witnesses.
When I was at London Bridge Station not long ago, there was a couple of people outside with leaflets, handing them out Jehovah's Witnesses and the Watchtower and all that kind of thing.
I'm not dismissive of them. I'm sure they've got a great argument, but I don't want to convert
one of the
to
arguments
Jehovah's
a lot of
Witnesses.
people have against them is that they don't believe in medical intervention, do they?
Well, they don't believe in blood transfusions, and they can't live in it. Anyway,
because there's often the old court case about that when a child is involved.
Absolutely, yeah, and there's been famous films about it. Rebecca was one, I think. I think a film called Rebecca.
Rebecca?
Yeah, I think it was called Rebecca. It was about a child. Anyway, it says here, witness doctrine has been dispensed from Brooklyn, the HQ, since 1908.
Yeah.
So a lot of those guys who've been knocking on doors in this country, since, I suppose, before the First World War, were people who were trained in the Watchtower in Brooklyn and then sent around the world to knock on your door. Church leaders taught the importance of door-to-door preaching, the rejection of military service and of blood transfusions.
Yeah.
The celebration of pagan holidays such as Christmas and birthdays is completely banned.
Is it?
Did you know that?
Well, I mean, I know that Christmas is technically a pagan holiday as far as some Christians believe.
Yes.
And does that mean they then work on Christmas Day?
Well, I suppose they do.
Yeah.
It says you
like
don't
us,
celebrate them. They're like us, indeed, yeah. We're working until 4 o'clock.
We're not pagans, though, are we?
No, we're not pagans. We're working until 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
By the way, I put out a tweet this morning
Yes.
to let people know, after our show last night, that we'll be working daytime shows between Christmas and New Year.
Yes.
And I'm delighted to say to everybody out there, thank you very much indeed. We got an overwhelming response.
Yeah, well,
so
you
that's
would
very,
expect
very
that,
nice.
wouldn't you?
Thank you very much
nice.
indeed.
Now,
Anyway,
do you want me to read you a few more tweets before you continue with your self-aggrandising, statements?
Just a little word about the Watchtower, because that's the name of the building and of the magazine.
Yeah.
The Watchtower, the ubiquitous... That's a nice word.
It is a nice word.
Remember the ubiquitous chip in Glasgow?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, right. The ubiquitous witness publication distributed at underground stations. You've just said that you saw one outside
London Bridge,
yeah. and street corners is printed at the Brooklyn headquarters. Indeed, the New York borough was chosen for the sex base because of its reputation. Yeah,
the sex base.
Sects, S-E-C-T-S. You know,
sex
got a
base.
warped mind you have.
I haven't.
It's printed at the Brooklyn headquarters. Indeed, the New York borough was chosen for the sect base because of its reputation as a centre for printing. They wanted their word to go around the world. Yeah.
Well, it's not cheap to print that sort of stuff.
No, it's not.
Do you think the stuff that they give out in London Bridge then is printed in Brooklyn?
It is, yeah.
Wow.
Definitely.
Imagine how much it costs to send that all over the world.
What?
Imagine how much it must cost to send that all over the world.
Quite expensive. I've just discovered something else.
Oh, go on.
They used to print so many copies of the Watchtower that they had to invent a method of packaging them together to get them sent around the world. That is how the cardboard box was invented.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
It says here. It says here that's how the cardboard box was invented.
I don't believe that.
It's what it says. Anyway, it says the giant Watchtower neon sign, which you've referred to, across the Brooklyn Bridge, right, that keeps time, thank you very much, on top of the...
You said it kept temperature.
It's both. It's both. It flashes from one to the other.
Right.
It does.
Well, maybe you were seeing the time.
Maybe I was, yeah.
Well, have you seen the time?
Is a... Excuse me?
Have you seen the time?
Hang on. Yeah, very funny. Is a landmark. Some of the locals have said, are sad. Are sad. They haven't said anything. Are sad.
Why don't you read this first and then just recount it?
It will no longer be a feature of the skyline, OK? One Brooklyn
resident... They're going to destroy the building.
Well, they're going to take down the Watchtower thing.
They're going to take down the sign.
Yeah, because it's not a protected building or anything.
They even brought a neon sign.
Even brought a neon sign, yeah.
A song from the Eagles.
So one Brooklyn resident said, it's nice to look out the window to see the time and temperature. There you go. See? Time and temperature.
Yeah, well, you got the temperature wrong, didn't
Before I go to work, it keeps me on time and helps me dress for the weather. Well, that's good. The most high-profile previous Jehovah's Witness property deal... I didn't realise this, was when they sold off a building in 2013 for $375 million. Oh,
yeah.
God, they got a lot of money, these people, haven't they?
Well, of course they have.
The buyer was a property developer company headed by Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of the billionaire property magnate and Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
What's the relationship?
The buyer was a property development company headed by Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of the billionaire property magnate and Republican. So Trump's latest young wife is the daughter of the guy who bought the...
So she's a Jehovah's Witness?
No. He bought the property off the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what the temperature is in New York at the moment?
Right, go on.
In Fahrenheit?
In Fahrenheit, I would say it is probably 41.
54.
54. Wow, that's very warm.
It is very warm. That's what I was saying. You must have got it wrong, because if it said 21, that couldn't have been right.
Well, maybe.
Because it would have been too warm in centigrade.
Okay.
Because that's 12 degrees.
Okay.
Is what it means. Now, let me read you a couple of tweets before we go too far.
Right.
One here from Gary.
Yes.
He says, only Mike Parry, the seeker of truth and justice, realises it's down to Lyme disease. He is my hero.
Thank you. I raised it, and the expert said immediately, you're onto something here.
Rubbish.
Yes, you are.
Another brilliant
expert.
Moth. Great to know if I surround myself with butterflies, I'm safe from Lyme disease. Hashtag relieved, says Becky.
Well, there you go.
Pumpty says, why is this butter plank not trying to discover a cure for cancer?
Yeah, well, that's one thing I put to him. But as the butterfly is a fairly useless sort of creature on Earth and doesn't do anything, what can you say? You
on
you
the
can't
subject
raise
of
money
religion,
for cancer
Roy
for that.
says, churches here don't pay taxes on any income. It's the biggest scam going. You can get a preacher certificate in 24 hours.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think
By
that's
the way, I meant
true.
to ask you when our expert was on about the butterflies, gypsy moth.
Gypsy moth, yeah. Wasn't that Francis Chichester's boat?
Correct, you got it in one.
You see? I was thinking that at the time.
Absolutely.
Now, how about this? Good morning, Mr. Parry. My friend experienced the street lights in the same way as you described when he was 14 months old. He reacted with fear for many years. The doctor stated it may have been due to the morphine. Could this have been the same for you? And this is from Kat, who says he's a Leicester supporter.
That's quite amazing, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the boy had the same phenomenon as me.
Street lights in the same way, yeah.
Well, you've got to understand, you see, because I've been thinking about it over the years, at 6 months old, your eyes aren't very well developed, to be honest.
No, you can't see very well.
And if you get a bright orange buzz every 4 or 5 seconds when you go past the street light,
surely your
might
trauma
have had a lifelong effect upon me.
Yeah, but they might have the trauma of just being in hospital with a giant ball of fat in your stomach might have had a deleterious effect.
Indeed.
Now, a couple of subjects, a couple of tweets rather on the subject of the Royal Mail.
Right.
Mike Anisha says, Christmas cards, a mere second-class stamp costs circa 54 pence. A alone. I personally always send Christmas cards with second-class stamps in the second week of December, not because the recipients are second-class, but solely because I don't wish to give a more sizable amount of money to Royal Mail, which I consider to be a distinctly average service.
If I get a Christmas card with a second-class stamp on it, I don't open it, I'll throw it in the bin.
You throw it in the bin?
I do.
Have you sent me a Christmas card?
No.
Are you going to?
No.
Are you going to bring one in?
No.
Why?
I think it would be a pointless exercise.
I thought you were going to get some 2 Mike's Christmas cards made.
Well, we had a bit of a problem there.
Why?
I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
No, it would be a pointless gesture because I see you most days and we talk every day, so there's not much point, really.
That's not the point. That is not the point. What about a present?
Maybe. I've got something in mind. I'm going to buy a present for your boys anyway.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, you try and get them one each this time, as opposed to something to share.
Well, I don't like to... the trouble is, you've got 2 lads, right?
Yeah.
They're just a couple of years apart.
Yeah.
And you buy them 2 separate presents.
Yeah.
One might always think the other's present is better than theirs. That's why I buy them a joint present.
No, that doesn't work. Why don't you just get them the same thing then, if you
might
feel
buy
like
them
that?
a chemistry set each or something like that.
Chemistry set?
Yeah.
That sounds dangerous.
No, it doesn't. It
You're
sounds
blow
good.
up the house. Gavin says this, please could you send me a Christmas card? I've bought your DVD. And then he includes his address.
Yeah. Well, we haven't got any Christmas cards, I'm afraid.
Well, why don't you buy him one and send him one?
Well, what sort of Christmas cards do you want?
Well, he doesn't say what sort.
We haven't got any 2 Mike's Christmas cards. I'm sorry, but the printing facility, I'm afraid, was unable to cope with the covers for the DVD at the same time as Christmas cards.
Right.
So we had to...
And here's one from Keith in Milton Keynes. He says, Porky, you are a muppet. To employ a driver for a 10-hour shift to drive a Royal Mail lorry is £150 plus diesel. Then someone to sort your mail, then someone to deliver it. 60p for your letter is a bargain. How far would 60p get you in your Merc?
Oh, I think the Royal Mail's a good service. I mean, I don't agree with the earlier correspondent who said it's a poor service. I think it's a very good service.
I think Keith is being a little bit sort of
and not only
deliberately obtuse, isn't he?
I'm the champion of the postie. I'm the champion of the postman.
So you say.
I am, very much so.
You were moaning about how expensive it was.
Well, look, all I said is that it is expensive these days, but you should still show somebody respect by sending them a letter or a card with a first-class stamp on it, not a second-class. Look, if I was taking somebody on a journey...
It depends how many you got to send, doesn't it?
Sorry?
It depends how many you got to send.
But it's a bit like travelling first or second class.
Yeah, but you travel first class, but you pay second class.
It says something about you in life. It says something about you in life.
That's what you think.
If you're dealing with second-class stamps, then, I think it's a bit dodgy, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, why do you then buy a second-class ticket, expect to be able to travel first class?
I don't do that.
You do?
I don't.
You do?
I don't.
You did it on... Well, I don't know if you did it on the way to Stansted, but you never showed me the ticket.
No, exactly.
You told me we were entitled to go there.
These empty assaults on my character all the time are becoming a little bit wearing, to be honest.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned about making a film of Porky's life, says Jason in Chepstow. With his lack of height, maybe we get Danny DeVito to play Mr. Parry.
They've got one here from Liz, and I'm not kidding, this is getting on my nerves.
Oh, yeah.
Forget about the butterflies. What about those moths that never come out of his wallet to see the light of day?
That's harsh.
Talking about me.
That's not true.
That is very harsh.
As I've said to many people, you can accuse you of many things, but lacking in generosity is not one of them.
It's very kind of you.
No, that's all. My pleasure. Talk Sport, we are the 2 Mikes. We've got loads more coming up. There will be a podcast coming out around about 6 hours from now, of course. Here's a couple of questions for you. Phil from Croydon says, hi. He says, why did they not try to save Wimbledon Stadium from being demolished to make way for AFC Wimbledon and their new football stadium? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't understand the question.
Why did they not try to save the original stadium?
Well, the original stadium, Plough Lane, was knocked down years ago and it's now a block of flats.
Yeah, right.
It went for very expensive... I mean, that part of... the problem Everton have got is that if you knock down Goodison Park, because of the particular part of the city it's in, it ain't going to be huge real estate property for luxury flats. You'd have to go much closer to the river where, the Albert Dock and places like that have been developed.
Yeah.
However, when you think of Wimbledon, which is a very, very choice suburb of London, you knock down a rickety old football stadium, which is what Plough Lane was, and build luxury flats in the place, you are making millions.
Yeah. True enough.
And so what they're going to do now is they're going to knock down the old Graham Stadium, aren't they, and rebuild it with a football stadium.
That's right, yeah.
But it's part of a complex, which I think includes retail and residential.
I think it's a 14,000-seater stadium or something like that.
Yeah.
Here's one from Ken in Hebburn who says, TalkSport, Mike, Jehovah's Witnesses do not have collections in their kingdom halls. Donations are given on a purely voluntary basis.
Well,
but they still have collections.
Can you apologise then, please, to the Jehovah's Witness movement?
No, because my point about collections means is it doesn't. In order to have a collection for a religious organisation, it doesn't mean that you actually physically have to walk around with a collection bowl or a collection bag.
Hang on.
What it means is that you are funded inevitably by the people who believe in what you do. I mean, like these preachers on American television, they don't have a collection as such, but they have a toll-free number that you can ring up and make your donation gift.
Yeah, but your crazy old dad has besmirched the Jehovah's Witnesses by saying that they go around rattling the old collection box.
Well,
they don't.
No, the point is they all collect money from their followers, from their believers. That's what they do. Jeff, who's a Leeds fan in Oxford, sends one that doesn't make a lot of sense either. He says, without butterflies means killing caterpillars, it would be like Ranieri selling Vardy and Mahrez to Valencia for Neville to propel to superstardom.
Yes.
A butterfly is a good thing to draw to.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Load of nonsense, that one, pal. What is the most famous butterfly in the world?
Well, the most famous butterfly, I would say, in this country is probably the Red Admiral.
Oh, you see, you've completely missed the point.
Why?
Papillon.
What?
Papillon.
Well, papillon is the French word for butterfly.
And Papillon was?
Well, he was a character in a book, wasn't he?
Thank you very much indeed. He's a real man, though, wasn't he?
Well, apparently so.
Papillon.
But he was called Papillon after a butterfly.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
You can't say that the word butterfly is the most famous butterfly in the world.
The most famous butterfly in the world is Papillon.
Did you see the film?
Yes, I did.
Who was in it?
Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
And I thought it was...
Who else?
Dustin Hoffman.
Correct.
And do you know what the worst scene was? And I've hated nuns ever since.
Have you read the book?
No. The worst scene...
The book is pretty gruesome in parts.
Yeah, well, look,
where they used to keep things.
Oh, no, I don't know about that. So the worst scene is when he thinks that he's, been rescued by the nuns and he's getting medical treatment and all that. And then the French guards walk in again and got him. And he said, oh, no, because he's going to be put back into 5 years solitary confinement.
Devil's Island.
On Devil's Island, in a darkened room.
Yeah.
5 years in a darkened room without seeing daylight.
Yeah, imagine that.
Creeping around on the floor, eating... Grubs and that sort of stuff.
Caterpillars, even.
Not even caterpillars, the other worst ones.
Worms.
No, the very worst ones that infest all the flats in New York.
Cockroaches.
Cockroaches and all that kind of stuff.
Like cucaracha.
Yeah, that's right. And he says, why? And Mother Superior says... Oh, my...
Pourquoi, surely?
No, it's why. Yeah, pourquoi? And she says, oh, my son, if you are guilty, then God will reform you.
Yeah.
And if you're innocent, God will free you. Well, that's a lot of comfort from mankind.
Well, how do you think I feel? I had nuns teaching me for the first 10 years of my life.
Really? Where was this?
In the Catholic primary school I went to.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
You didn't realise that?
Well, I didn't realise that you had such a weird upbringing.
There's nothing weird about it. It was a Catholic primary school.
Pretty weird, man, to be taught by nuns.
Well, not really. I then went to a Catholic secondary school where there were brothers, Dominican brothers.
Yeah.
Very cruel people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I was 8, right?
Used to beat you.
They used to hit you across the knuckles with a ruler.
Oh, do you know what? When I went to my first junior school, the teacher had this habit of getting a plastic ruler and bashing...
Sure it wasn't a wooden one?
No, it was a plastic one.
Did they have plastic ones in those days?
Yeah, they had plastic ones, yeah.
Sure?
Yeah, definitely. And kids who were thick and couldn't do their maths properly, fortunately I was very bright and I could, but kids who were thick, they were smacked on their calves repeatedly with this plastic ruler, and they used to scream. It was torture.
Yeah.
I mean, it was horrible. It was child abuse, definitely, Wouldn't be allowed these days.
No, it wouldn't.
Anyway, what did you think was what did you think was... Do you think Papillon got away?
Do I think he got away?
Yeah.
Well, he jumps into the sea, doesn't he?
After
counting, is it the seventh wave?
Yeah, but what does he jump into the sea on?
Well, he jumps into the sea. He does a sack or something, doesn't he?
No, he's got... What he's done is he's strung together a load of coconuts.
No, that's right.
And hopes that they'll float him to freedom.
Well, I think the belief is that he gets away, but whether he survives is another matter.
Yeah. So did you see the story the other week about the guy who escaped from Alcatraz finally died at the age of 93?
Oh, yeah?
And they didn't find out that it was
the
him.
Birdman of Alcatraz?
No. The Birdman of Alcatraz was... no, he was a famous actor as well. His name was Burt... Was it Burt?
You're thinking of Burt Lancaster?
Burt Lancaster, that was the guy, yeah. No, I'm thinking more of the Clint Eastwood film.
Yeah.
He played the guy who got out of Alcatraz. Bit the same as the Shawshank Redemption. He used a spoon, didn't he, to tunnel through the wall and all that kind of stuff.
Have you been to Alcatraz?
No, I didn't go to the island.
You didn't?
No,
You've been to San Francisco, then?
I've been to Cisco 4 or 5 times.
Fisherman's Wharf.
I love San Francisco.
I would have liked to have gone there in better times. I went there after they just had the big earthquake.
Oh, I see,
in 1989.
yeah. No, I've been there in good times.
Yeah.
I love the old trams. I love the city. I think it's a brilliant city.
It is.
I love the Bay Area.
Beautiful, yeah.
And I love going over the Golden Gate to Sausalito on the other side.
Yeah.
And Sausalito is like an English
Vine
village.
country.
Yeah, it's beautiful, yeah.
How about this from Johnny Rep?
Yeah.
He he says, let them get their chemistry sets and then they can come and show Porky how to work a fridge freezer.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And here's one from Becky, who says, great idea. If Porky gets MG's boys chemistry sets, I can see Dad now asking them to turn water into wine or champagne.
Well, that's a brilliant idea.
Well, that's a miracle, really, isn't it?
I mean, it's sort of a miracle.
I don't think you need a
now,
chemistry
listen,
set
talking about water, I need to talk to you about... did you know that the traditional car wash in this country...
Yeah.
It's a car wash, baby.
The traditional car wash being what, exactly?
Well, like...
like the actual machine?
Yeah, I'm talking about the
automated car wash.
I'm talking about the sort of the see-through shed, for want of a better word.
Yeah,
because
because,
you drive through.
Yeah, because you might say now that the traditional car wash has been replaced by a lot of guys who will do it by hand. What they call a hand car wash.
I was about to say to you, 25% reduction... No, 75% reduction in the number of automatic car washes in this country in the last 10 years. Who have they been replaced by? Enterprising East European workers who've set up the hand car wash, which has now become a booming industry.
Well, because they now do that in a lot of places for less money than you would pay to go into a regular car wash.
Exactly.
And also, if you've got a car which you're worried about getting damaged, you'd much rather have it done by hand, wouldn't you?
The point is, I stopped using car washes when I got a particularly nice car once. I don't know.
The car you've got now, if you put that repeatedly through the automatic car wash, it will scratch it.
That's precisely what I'm saying.
And there's also a chance that it might damage bits of it.
Yeah, I know. Somebody told me years ago, those brushes are made of nylon. They're not made of...
Well, what do you think they were made of?
Well, I thought they were made of hair. I thought they were made of like bear hair or something like that. You know what I mean? And what are you laughing at? What's the problem?
Look, take me to the bear hair car wash.
No, I don't mean bear hair, but I mean, the sort of stuff that you make...
Horse's hair, maybe.
Well, maybe, yeah.
It's longer, isn't it?
Yeah, or whatever. But then I found out they're made of, quite tough nylon.
Yeah, of course it's nylon.
And they scratch your cars. So, but what I'm saying is...
So do you use these hand
all the
car
time,
washes?
all the time. Get fantastic service.
It's not worth doing it in this weather, though, is it? Because as soon as you've got it clean, it's filthy again.
Well, you've got to have a clean car for Christmas. That's what I always insist on. Well, because, funny enough, my brother-in-law won't even let the cars onto his driveway unless they're clean.
Well,
and I don't
the
blame
same
him.
guy who makes you wear slippers when you go into the house.
No, not at all. That's my sister. That's my sister.
Yeah, well, presumably they're married.
She looks after the inside of the house. He looks after the outside of the house.
So if I turned up in my old jalopy, as you call it, and it wasn't clean, he wouldn't let me park it there?
No, you'd have to park it on the road outside.
Plank.
No, I'm sorry. I will not have you addressing my family like that.
That's ridiculous.
He has standards, and those standards
are
high.
What is wrong with you?
There's nothing wrong with us at all.
He'll let you turn up dressed like a tramp, though. He doesn't care about that.
No, I don't dress like a tramp.
Do you put a suit on?
When I go to...
will you put a suit on for Christmas Day?
No, definitely not.
What will you wear?
Cash.
Cash?
Yes.
Cash what? Like that stripy lumberjack shirt?
No, a flowing shirt.
Flowing?
With the chinos.
Yeah, will you have it outside or inside?
No, inside. And, rather... my belt I will wear. I only wear it once a year on Christmas Day.
You only wear a belt once a year?
No, I only wear this particular belt once
Why?
a year. It was given to me by Ian Poulter. It's from his fashion range.
Oh, what's so special about it then?
Well, it's very special.
Has it got a particular buckle on it?
It has got a particular buckle,
What is it?
and it's very expensive.
What's on the buckle?
It's his own design. It's a sort of lock-like design. No. It shows like a sort of a golf club type thing,
Golf club?
Yeah, well, he's a golfer, isn't he? Now,
what sort of shoes we wear?
I'll have a new pair outdoor.
Outdoor shoes?
Yeah, I always have a new pair of shoes for Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, every Christmas...
a bit slippery, though, if you wear new shoes.
No.
Soles?
No. Yeah, leather soles, probably, whatever.
Well, you be careful, though, because if you wear them for the first time...
Yes,
and it's
true.
wet...
Yes.
Then it ruins the shoes, and it also makes it very slippery.
It's good thinking. I'll watch that. And on the inside, my mum always buys me a new pair of slippers on Christmas Day. Always.
What would you do with the old ones?
Well, I just don't take slippers, do I, to my sister?
But she's got slippers.
You
said they had a pair for you there.
Yeah, but these are my own personal ones.
Yeah, but you said that they keep a pair for you there.
They do.
So you throw the old ones out and put the new ones on.
No.
I mean, you people are single-handedly keeping the slipper business going.
Listen, what I was going to say...
By the way. Look at the time.
Never mind about time. I was going to say about the hand car washes. The hand car wash, which is great about them is... I think it costs £6.50 where I go.
That's a lot.
I give them a tenner, and I say make sure the wheels are immaculate. So they always spend a bit more time on the wheels. You've got to have clean wheels. If you haven't got clean wheels, it so reduces the look of your car. Honest to God, wheels these days.
Why do you give them a tenner when it's only £6.50?
Well, because I like them to do a good job, and I also like them to think that I'm an important customer.
No, right?
Yeah.
They probably just see you coming.
There is some talk that actually, a bit like. You could sometimes say doorman on nightclubs is an organised sort of profession.
Yeah.
There's some talk now about these organisation getting into this sort of
What, you mean like organised crime, you mean?
I'm not talking about organised crime. I'm talking about an
organised network.
Okay.
This is Talk Sport. We got loads more coming next. We've teamed up with Barclays to inspire the next generation of young fans. Each week we're offering young fans the unforgettable experience of attending their first ever match. This week we're giving away a pair of tickets to Saints versus Spurs at St Mary's Stadium. So if you know a young Southampton fan that you'd like to take along to their first game, answer this question.
Yes, the question is, which centre-back moved from Southampton to Spurs for just over £8 million? Yes, that's right, 8 million. In 2001, was it A, Chris Perry, or was it B, Dean Richards? Now then, text the word FIRST, F-I-R-S-T, followed by A for Chris Perry or B for Dean Richards, 281089. Tickets are in the home end. OK, you got that? Home end. The competition closes at 5 p.m. this evening.
And as with all TalkSport competitions, text costs 50p and standard network charges apply. Head to talksport.com for full terms and conditions. And we'll also get you on air this Saturday to tell us all about your experience.
That's right, so get texting please now to play first games on TalkSport with Barclays, championing the true spirit of the game.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Ask Porky's coming up very, very shortly. If you haven't sent a question in at the Two Mics or at the Facebook page, the Two Mics, then you've got no chance of getting it read out. But here's a story I was amazed that you haven't brought up, right?
Yeah, go on.
We've seen the back page of the Express this morning. It says, Stones wall. Everton dish out another blow for suffering Jose. And all sorts of Jose stories on the back of the papers this morning.
Well, I could have told you
this one, I'm not sure is really a goer, because what it's saying is that Roberto Martinez has handed another blow to Jose Mourinho by saying John Stones is not going to Chelsea in January. But I don't think anybody ever thought he was, did they?
No, I don't think they did. But funnily enough, I heard my old pal Darren Lewis of the Mirror talking to the lads on the show before ours, the Sports Bar, and he said, with great authority, John Stones will not be going anywhere in January. However, he will be, a very valuable footballer to teams as far away as Barcelona next summer. And I expect a high-price transfer. Well, he said that last summer. Everybody said that last summer. Fleet Street said it last summer. Oh, John Stones will be on the move.
Well, nobody could
the world
believe,
has changed.
But also nobody could believe how badly Chelsea managed the whole kind of negotiation process for him. And that's really the beginning of Jose Mourinho's problems, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And some people say that that's why things have all gone horribly pear-shaped for him. Because he was unhappy about how that was all conducted. And it was down to him, he would have got Stones.
Definitely. The pressure's mounted on Jose, no doubt about it, because you look at other papers from tomorrow morning. Chelsea's flops are turning on boss Jose Mourinho and each other as he clings on to his job. Mourinho incensed his players by accusing them of betraying him after the defeat, and a source said that comment is interpreted as Jose trying to distance himself from the players. And in another one, he says, it says here, and they mark this as exclusive, Jose Mourinho has told his players he should have sold most of them in the summer. So, I mean, there's something going, and put all those bits and pieces together.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you have to say, if Roman Abramovich, and I said this on the show yesterday, is not going to get rid of Jose Mourinho, then he has to take the view he has to get rid of some of the players.
Well, most of them, I would think. Half of them. Half of them, I agree.
Amazing. Now, how about this from Lee, who's tweeted at the Two Mics? He says, that says it all. Porky's family are mad. Indoor, outdoor slippers, and you can't park your car if it don't make the grade. # off their heads.
Well, there's nothing wrong with standards, You keep standards in life.
Yeah, but it's one thing to have standards. It's another thing to be completely and utterly kind of anally retentive about it.
No.
Allow somebody to park their car. What happens if a visiting tradesman turns up in a van that's not clean and wants to deliver a parcel?
Well, it's only there temporarily, so that doesn't matter. But you won't have
only
a
there temporarily if you're coming for Christmas.
No. Temporarily means 5 minutes while he dropped a parcel off or something like that. That's all right.
That's okay.
But it's a very, very beautiful driveway, and it shouldn't be littered with filthy cars. How many cars could you get on it? Oh, maybe 8. 10.
8 cars?
8 or 10, something like that.
That's a ridiculously large driveway, isn't it?
No, not really. It comes in one side, arcs up towards the door and goes out the other. So
is there all the houses in that street the same?
A lot of them are.
Was it like Bishop's Avenue or something?
It's a very nice street in Bournemouth, backing onto a golf course. So yes, it's rather nice. Now listen,
man of the people. How about this from Stephen? Hang on, Banco, which I thought was the name of it. I couldn't remember. It's the sequel book to Papillon. He tells of how he built a few casinos. He wrote books after earthquakes destroyed them. So
Earthquakes destroyed what?
I don't know. But, I mean, basically, there is a second book
so
which
he got
would
away.
suggest that he did get away.
Yeah, well, that's probably mythical. Now, listen, I bet you don't know what's the anniversary of today.
I don't know.
No, you don't. That's
Yesterday,
so
however, was National Tea Day, or International Tea Drinking Day, apparently.
Okay, excellent. That's good to know. What I'm going to say...
Just not interested in anything I have to say.
Well, this is more interesting, that's all.
Well, why is it?
1944, band leader Glenn Miller's aircraft disappeared on a short flight from Bedford. I didn't realise it was taken off in Bedford. To Paris.
Yes.
His body and the plane have never been found.
That's right.
No, I know what happened to that plane.
The belief is it went down in the English Channel, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, in dense fog.
Yeah.
But what happened was a bombing raid had been dispatched to attack Germany, as always. You know, they used to have raids with 1,000 bombers.
Yeah, you're
going
saying
over.
that a bomb accidentally hit their plane, aren't
Definitely.
Because you've said this to me before.
Definitely. What happened was it was dense fog that night, and the Lancasters and the Wellingtons took off, and they flew over onto the continent. There was very little resistance then, because by 1944 we had the war in the bag, so to speak, you know, and it was D-Day was...
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, we did, really.
1944?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there was still another year to go.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that year largely consisted of us landing in France and then pushing through to Germany. It was as simple as that. But anyway, the point I was going to make was the bombing raid, whichever one it was, because they were happening all the time, and it was in darkness, went over, and then the raid was aborted. They said,
well, why would you fly beneath what was known to be a kind of active bombing raid, though?
Well, he didn't. He flew at a height of God knows what, a couple of thousand feet, because of light aircraft, right? The bombers used to have to take off and obviously go much, much higher in order to get over to the continent and try and, not...
well, also they would want to try and fly above the anti-aircraft fire, wouldn't they?
Well, that's what I'm saying, and not be subject to anti-aircraft fire and visiting fighters from Germany and all that kind of stuff. So what happened was, when they were told to abort the mission, turn round, you can't land a Lancaster bomber full of bombs because it might...
Too dangerous.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very
heavy. I
heavy.
know a lot about Lancaster bombers.
Of course you do, because your father flew them.
Was
but
an air crew in.
So heavy that the landing gear might collapse, or because it was, still very new technology. The Lancaster was built for the Second World War.
Yeah.
Didn't exist before the Second World War. The first ones weren't built in 1941.
Yeah.
So when you land with a bomb, if a bomb drops out, it blows everything up. So
well, that's the same reason, same principle. They jettison all the fuel from a modern plane now if they have to come back to land. Right?
Absolutely. So they were told to empty your bombs over the channel.
Yeah.
And, we don't know how many planes did, but it was a whole squadron of bombers. They emptied them.
Do you think they ever hit any boats?
I've no idea. I don't know. It's a very busy shipping channel, but not so busy in those days because there were submarines around blowing ships up.
And things,
but anyway, there is a theory that, and it's a very strong theory because there have been witnesses to it, that the bombs were emptied out of the bomb bays of the Lancasters, the Wellingtons, and that as they tumbled out of the air, they took Glenn Miller's plane down with them into the ocean.
But there then have been some debris, though.
Well, you'd have thought so, but they said that with them being bombs and with them hitting a plane below, who knows, there could have been an explosion on the surface in the channel, blowing everything to pieces,
Maybe. You could be right.
Could be.
How about this from Huey? A bit of advice. He says, I just thought I'd let you know the local hand car wash will ruin your paint just as quickly as the automated version.
Why?
Porky spending 45k on a car, then getting it washed for £5. I bet they use the same sponge on his paint as his wheels. They use neat acid cleaners to scrub your wheels and then move to the paint. So what you're saying is that you're not necessarily doing the right thing.
I don't
I
believe
remember when
that.
I first got my Mercedes and I took it on a trip to Germany.
Yes.
Because, we just had a baby and we wanted to show it off to some family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, sort of quite a long trip, 4 days there, 4 days back,
Yes.
driving around. When I brought it back, it was a relatively new car, so I called this cleaning company to come and clean the car. They did a magnificent job of it, right? But it cost something like 40 quid.
Right.
So maybe that's what you should get. Like one of these, personal valet type services.
Yeah, but I mean, that's too much trouble. What I do is...
they'll just come to your house and do it.
Well, no.
How's that any trouble?
Because it's an underground car park, and I don't have people in my underground car park and all that kind of stuff.
They can take it out to the street and do it.
Well, no, anyway, look, what I do is, you drive past Asda, and you say, right, I'll go in there. You drive into Asda, you go and do a bit of shopping for 20 minutes, you come back, your car is spotlessly clean.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem. And they don't use this acid stuff that you're talking about. All they do is they use a very high-powered pressured spray on the wheels.
Yeah, but what he's saying is that they'll sometimes use the same acid cleaner on part of the wheel, before they sort of spritz it with the water, and then use that same cloth on the paint, which is going to damage it.
I've been getting my cars clean now by guys at hand car washes for many, many years. I would say 10 years.
Right. Probably
had 4 or 5 cars in that time, all good cars, Jaguars and things like that, and I've never seen a problem with the paintwork. So
really?
I have to say that though I'm very grateful for the warning, I reject that theory entirely.
Really?
Yes.
How bizarre.
Yes.
OK, well, coming up, it's time for Ask Porky. So you'll be able to give out some advice, and maybe not on car washes, but on many other things.
Indeed.
This is Talk Sport.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on Talk Sport with the Ford Ranger. It's the breakfast show that doesn't compromise on delivering the biggest names from the world of sport.
Join me from 6 o'clock on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
Cramming more into 4 hours every morning than you thought possible. The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Weekday mornings from 6 on Talk Sport with the Ford Ranger. Ruthlessly tested across the harshest terrain on Earth. Find out more at ford.co.uk.
Ever had to make the call? Hi, can you call me back? My credit's running out. With Talk Mobile's happy hour plan on Pay As You Go, the pressure's off. Because when you make a call, it costs just 10 pence, and the rest of the hour is totally free. A 1 hour call for the price of 2 plastic bags. And the best thing is, every hour is happy hour. Calls to standard UK mobiles and landlines, 8 pence per minute after the first hour. Terms apply. See talkmobile.co.uk.
Get in the ring this Saturday night from 9 as the gloves come off for a fast-paced throwdown on Talk Sport. Join Danny, King of the Ring Kelly, for a season ticket Fight Club special featuring reaction to the day's biggest games with all the build-up ahead of the main event. Andy Lee goes head-to-head with Billy Joe Saunders to defend his WBO middleweight belt live in Manchester. Ron McIntosh and Glenn McCrory will be going the distance, bringing you live ringside commentary of the entire fight.
A sensational opening round.
The season tickets Fight Club special. Andy Lee versus Billy Joe Saunders live Saturday night from 9 on Talk Sport.
Of different problems. Some people have posted on Facebook, some people have done it on Twitter. We got some great comments and great questions to get you. So should we get going with it straight away?
Yes,
as
please.
Ever, I would say if you can be as brief as possible, but as helpful as possible, we'll get through a great many of them.
Indeed.
Here's one from Richard, who says, Mike, if you could go back either to the Express or the FA for a second stint, which would it be and why?
Well, I wouldn't go back to either, because I do honestly believe in the old adage of don't go back. It doesn't ever seem to work to me. Ian Rush is the only footballer who's ever gone back to the team he left, Liverpool, after going to Juventus and then coming back.
Yeah.
The only guy who ever went back and made a success of it, and that was a rarity. The point is that both those jobs, the Express and the FA, were part of the development pattern of why you end up where you are today. And so to go back is tempting fate. So the answer is, it was great to be in the newspaper business, but my last real job in the newspaper business was the Express. That's over. The FA was a period of great excitement, but it lasted only 18 months. I was delighted to help there in between, so to speak, jobs in the communication industry. And I have no desire whatsoever to become a PR again.
OK. David says, is it ever OK to finish with your girlfriend before Christmas, or shall I pain it out for the next 2 weeks?
Well, I think you should, if you feel that way about the fact it's not working and you want to end it, you should end it right now, because otherwise you're living a lie. And if you live a lie, everybody knows you're living a lie. Your girlfriend will detect a different attitude from you towards her. She will detect that you're not quite as affectionate as you used to be, not quite as willing, not quite as giving. And the thing that's going to catch you out over Christmas is that you're going to be in situations with your girlfriend when you will feel you'd rather be somewhere else. So, for instance, what I'm saying is, you might have already committed to take your girlfriend out on Christmas Eve to something rather formal, or something where you've paid some tickets to get into a club or something like that. Whereas, in fact, on the night, you're going to say to yourself, do you know what? I shouldn't have bothered with this. I'd rather have been out with the lads and got bladdered till 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm living a lie.
OK, seems a bit harsh. Max says this, what does Porky make of all the fanfare and excitement ahead of the new Star Wars film? Will he go and see it?
Well, I wasn't a big fan of the first 3 Star Wars films, if it was 3, or something like that.
Well, there's been 6 now.
6, is it, altogether? I don't know, Return of the Jedi and all that kind of stuff. I tried to watch the original one a few times, but it looked very old when I was, trying to pick up on it a few years ago.
That's pretty good coming from you.
Sorry?
That's pretty good coming
from
you.
Well, it was very old. And apart from, watching the old, what are they called, the spaceships shooting each other and all that kind of stuff, Han Solo was it and all that kind of stuff, it didn't really do a lot for me. So the answer is no, because I'm not a huge fan of Star Wars. If I haven't even seen the new James Bond film yet, and I'm a big fan of Bond, so I'll go and see that the next opportunity I get to the cinema.
You missed out on that screening, didn't you?
I missed out on the screening, yeah. I'm afraid that, time overtook me. And I have no great desire to see the Star Wars film. I imagine this time next year I'll be watching it as the Christmas Day film.
Yeah, maybe. Darren says this on Facebook. As we know, Porky is the world's foremost expert on living a successful life on only 3 to 4 hours sleep a day. Our new baby daughter was born 3 weeks ago, and I'm now on a Porky-esque ration of sleep every night. Has he got any advice on how best to cope on such a small amount of shut-eye and maintain my usual Playboy-like lifestyle without crashing and burning?
Well, don't maintain a Playboy-like lifestyle if you're sleeping only 3 or 4 hours a night. Give up alcohol altogether. You've got to understand that this daft view that, we'll have a few drinks and then get 3 or 4 hours sleep means you get no sleep. If you have alcohol to excess before you go to sleep, you don't sleep properly anyway. You'll feel more tired. What I do is, in extreme cases, like at the moment, I've got a lot of work to do tomorrow morning after I left you, Mike. Starting with Al's breakfast show when I'm just doing a paper review, and then I've got work all day tomorrow, and that means that the bladderation tendencies are out the window, have been for the last 2 days and will be now until well into the weekend. Alcohol, giving it up, is the main thing to be able to acquire a good night's sleep, particularly if it's limited hours.
OK, here's one from Matthew. What is Porky's advice on sharing the domestic tasks with my wife who does not work when I'm on leave at Christmas?
Who does not work when you're on leave at Christmas?
Well, no, I mean, I think he means he's on leave at Christmas. What should he do about sharing the domestic tasks?
Well, do as much as you can. I mean, the point is that any relationship where a man sits around in the house, watches the telly, drinks beer, expects his meal to be put on the table is a failing relationship. It's absolutely no good. You need to be able to sit there with your wife and have a glass of wine at the end of the day when you've both contributed to the domestic harmony by putting an equal amount of effort into the running of a house. Some people don't realise, and men are particularly guilty of this, just what effort it takes to just keep a house going. For instance, everything that you use has to be cleaned. Everything that you buy has to be processed and put into cupboards and that sort of thing. Everything you eat has to be cooked. After you've cooked, everything has to be dispensed with. It is a big job just running a house. You've got to check things all the time. Have you had the boiler serviced recently? Do you need a new kitchen cabinet? Do you have to put a new carpet down in the house? Do you need new mats? All this needs doing.
Is your tumble air dryer about to explode?
Is your tumble air dryer about to explode? Is your waste disposal working? It's a big, big job just keeping a house steady. And you should put in as much effort as your wife does into keeping it as the status quo.
Here's one from Raymond, which is a bit of a sort of philosophical quandary.
Right.
He says, "Hi, Porky, a boxing ring is square, so why do we call it a ring?"
A boxing ring is because of the bell, which is indicating the start and the end of each round. That was the way that, because the first boxing that ever took place was bare knuckle boxing, and the crowds were enormous. I mean, thousands of people. You couldn't hear anything. So the guy in the middle, who was basically, by the way, only there to see whether or not a man had been knocked unconscious, at which time the fight had to stop. And he's now called the ref, obviously.
The referee.
But in those days he wasn't. He was just an observer. And he couldn't get anybody to hear anything, and so he used to carry a bell. And the bell, of course, rang all the time, ring the bell. And so the boxing arena, which, by the way, was circular in those days, because, if you get a group of people together and there are no parameters to the area you're fighting, it will always be a circle. And that's why the circle with the man with the bell was called the ring.
Yeah, OK. Well, that may or may not be true.
It is
How
true.
about this one from Tex? This is an interesting one. Do you agree with the equation where you divide your age by 2 and then add 7 to give you the minimum age you can date someone? So, for example, if you were 60, you would half it, right? So it'd be 37 would be the youngest a woman you could date.
Yeah, and if you were 30, you'd halve it to 15, add 7, 22. No, I think that's a daft equation.
Yeah.
Too big an age gap there between the two particular parties. I don't think you should have any sort of equation for trying to evaluate the ages of two people in a relationship. It's about the two people themselves, although I certainly am not in favour of this idea of a man of, 58 dating a woman of 32. I think it looks ludicrous.
You do you?
Yes.
OK. Bad news for old Hugh Hefner then, isn't it?
Yes.
Alan says this. Do you think Katie Hopkins would make a great Prime Minister?
Katie Hopkins is a columnist in a newspaper. She's a gobby individual. I've seen her on television a bit. I think she tends to say things for effect sometimes. People say she's brave because she's outspoken. Yeah, maybe, but quite honestly, anybody can just punt, an outrageous expression into the air just for the sake of getting some kind of a response. What you have to be very careful about is the people who respond are usually a lot cleverer than you are, and if you can't hold the argument, it fails. And on occasions, that will happen to anybody who is as loudly outspoken in a sensational sort of way as Katie Hopkins.
Maccahill says, if Porky could go back in time and give young Porky some advice, what would it be?
My advice would be...
To yourself?
Not really. I mean, you can't live your life over again. Be as helpful as you can. Be as nice as you can. Be as compassionate and human as you can to other people.
Yeah.
But never, ever, ever expect them to repay it, because it's not a debt of honour, and most don't.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Here's one from Andrew.
Yeah.
What is your recommendation for the best sports book of 2015? He wants to buy a Christmas present for himself.
Without shadow of a doubt, from the excerpts I read, I haven't read the whole book myself, it's got to be Stephen Gerrard's book, My Life Story, whatever it was called. The other one, which is said to be outstanding, and I only read the excerpt of that again, is Sir Alex Ferguson's Leadership. Both look like excellent books to me. Of the two, if I had to buy one, I'd buy Stephen Gerrard's, because I've read several books by Alex Ferguson, but never a book by Stephen Gerrard.
All right. Porky says, Joseph, being the Christmas season, do you want to apologise for all the horrible things you've said about Mike this year?
No, because I've not said anything horrible. The only things I say about Mike are to stimulate the thought pattern within his head, and he knows a lot of what I say is the truth anyway. The truth often hurts. Sorry, but it does.
OK. Here's one from Jonathan, who says, the headmistress of my daughter's very respectable grammar school told me that anyone who went for an interview at Oxford University and ended up at a polytechnic in the 70s or 80s was an academic failure and an embarrassment to their school. Porky, does the cap fit?
Cap doesn't fit. I went to the University of the Trent, and the point is that was by choice. When I went to Brasenose for the interview, didn't like a lot of what I saw. The studying, the degree I was supposed to go for was Politics, Philosophy and Economics, PPE. A lot of politicians do that because they can't make their mind up what they want to be. They end up with the PPE and they go into politics. Look at some of our politicians and tell me whether I made the right or wrong mistake.
Right or wrong mistake?
Yes.
Or decision?
Right or wrong decision,
Quite
even.
right.
Yes.
Here's one from Wrongster, who says, my 76-year-old uncle owns a jumped-up dinghy. As one of 5 nephews, how do I use rat-like cunning to secure the boat in his will?
Well, if you want the boat in his will, I'd go and ask him for it before he dies, because there's one thing worse than betrayal, and that's betrayal within the family. And if you gerrymander the situation so you got the dinghy, that's not a good situation. Go to your uncle, put it to him now, tell him you'll find a good home for the boat, but even then you're suggesting that he's going to be dying soon. He won't like that, but the only way to do it is to be honest.
Yeah, very kind.
Yes.
John, this might have to be the final one.
Yeah.
Now that it is confirmed that chocolate is going to go up dramatically in price, so Porky was correct, what other signs of the end of the world should I be looking out for?
There are no signs of the end of the world. The world is finite. No, it's not. It's infinite. It's infinite. It's infinite. So there is no end of the world. The only thing is that things on the world will change, and they will change forever. You've got to remember that 50 years ago, the mad, woolly jumper brigade were telling us that they will run out of food by now.
Yeah.
They're also telling us
we're going to run out of food.
No. They were telling us we'd run out of food by now. They were telling us we'd run out of oil by now. They were telling us we'd run out of water by now. They were telling us that the world would be on fire by now because of the greenhouse effect. None of those things have happened. Man adjusts to his own environment as best he can. When one sort of fuel runs out, we find another. And at the moment, we're going through the maddest period in history because we haven't run out of fuel. There's billions of tons of coal in the world. But for some mad reason, we decided not to use it anymore because other people have come along and invented the situation about, fossil-burning fuels making the world warmer. It's not. It's sunspots, in my view.
Well, people think that the butterflies are disappearing. One final one, very quick, not a yes or no, a one-word answer. Doesn't include booze, from James. What's your favourite part of Christmas dinner?
My favourite part of Christmas dinner is the turkey and the stuffing and the turkey gravy.
That's it?
Yes.
That's 3 things?
Yes. Well, it's all in one, though, really.
Not really.
Yeah.
Unless it all comes out of a tin.
Yeah.
That was Ask Porky. We've got lots more to do, of course. It's all coming up next on TalkSport.
Yeah.
When you need all the latest form and odds on all the day's sporting action, and you need it fast, you need the Coral Daily Download. Get all the latest news and great offers on all the big games and all the biggest race meetings in one essential package. Delivered to your ears at the speed of sound. Don't miss the Coral Daily Download every morning on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast from 6 on Talk Sport with Coral. Your best bet for breakfast.
Inspire the next generation of young fans and celebrate the spirit of the game on Talk Sport with Barclays, championing the true spirit of the game. Listen throughout the day for the chance to win a pair of tickets to take a young fan to their very first Barclays Premier League match. Win an unforgettable experience that will last a lifetime. Play first games on Talk Sport with Barclays, championing the true spirit of the game. For full terms and conditions, go to talksport.com/competitions.
Don't phone your mother. Phone Talk Sport.
Football on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Atletico Radio.
Talk Sport.
The music was all going so well until this one.
Well, do you know what this is?
Yeah, it's James Galway, isn't it?
The Flautist.
What?
The Flautist.
Flautist?
Yes, that's what I said.
The Flautist.
Flautist,
Means
yeah.
He's like floating in a river.
And that tune was?
You Fill Up My Senses. I can't remember the name. Annie's song, right?
Annie's song, that's right. First performed by that guy who died in his aeroplane. He flew his aeroplane to the ground. John Denver.
Did he not write it?
Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
Well, why are you playing James Galway's version of it?
Well, because...
He's dead, isn't he?
Who?
James Galway.
No, don't think he is. No,
sure?
No, I think he's still going.
Right.
I think he's still going, and he's got a collection of flutes. You know who's got the biggest collection of flutes in the world?
No idea.
Michael Flatley.
Oh, yeah, I think you told me that.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a man who, to whom every relative has been superlative at something or other, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
His uncle was a champion this.
That's right, yeah. But he's... he was...
Does he play the flute?
Oh, he's been playing the flute since he was about 8, apparently, and he's a better flautist than he is a dancer even, and he's got all these flutes at home. But anyway, look, the reason I was telling you this is, you won't believe this, it's so close to home.
Yeah.
Now, are you aware of a bar around here somewhere called the Archduke Wine Bar?
The Archduke. Yes, I think it's over by Waterloo Station, isn't it?
Over by Waterloo
I'm pretty
Station.
sure it is, yeah.
Right,
I'm pretty sure it's like down underneath the bridge.
Is that the one?
I think so.
Is that the one down underneath the bridge? Yeah, it could well be.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, so this guy, principal flautist with the Philharmonia Orchestra.
What?
Philharmonia.
Philharmonia?
Philharmonia.
Not Philharmonic?
No, Philharmonia, honestly.
Philharmonia?
Yeah, I've got it here.
Where's that from?
I don't know, but anyway.
Which Philharmonia Orchestra?
Well, I'm just trying to work this out here.
It'll be the London Philharmonic, right?
No, this is the Philharmonia, which is, hang on, it's based...
Is it attached to the Festival Hall by any chance?
I'm trying to work this out. Anyway, look, the point of the story is this guy, Samuel Coles, is principal flautist with the Philharmonia Orchestra.
Okay. Well, if it's down in that neck of the woods, it must be near the Festival Hall. It must have something to do with the Festival Hall, don't it?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, here we are. Sorry. Yeah, the Philharmonia Orchestra, you're absolutely right, is based at the Royal Festival Hall.
There you go.
Okay?
Okay.
So the other night, after, a bit of practice and all that, he goes into the Archduke Wine Bar.
Yeah.
And he has a couple of drinks. He turned round, and his bag containing his £50,000 gold-studded flute...
No.
Gone.
Someone's nicked it.
Somebody's nicked it. Honest to God.
50,000 quid?
50,000 quid.
That's a hell of a flute.
Yeah. Also
why was he carrying it around in a bag? Why don't you just leave it there at the Festival Hall?
Right, the flute, right, was a 14-carat gold flute. It's worth £50,000. He kept it in a Louis Vuitton bag.
Right.
And he believes that whoever went after it actually went after the bag and didn't know what was in it.
Yeah.
But also...
He's obviously very well paid as flutist.
Well, apparently he's a world expert.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the end of his bad luck.
No.
He was also keeping in his bag a £10,000 wooden piccolo.
Blimey.
I can play the piccolo.
You sure this is not some kind of insurance scam?
No.
Why would you have all that in a pub down by Waterloo Station?
I can play the piccolo, the piccolo,
no, you
the
can't,
piccolo. I can play the piccolo, piccolo. I am the music man. You know that song, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I'd sing that a little bit there, just liven you up. But no, what happened was...
I smell a rat here.
No.
I do.
Well, I think you're being a little bit unfair.
No, I smell a rat.
Because...
You're going to tell me that a guy who is a professional musician has a Louis Vuitton bag in which he keeps £60,000 worth of musical instruments and puts it down next to his feet in a pub.
I don't think it was next to his feet. I think it was on a table. He says,
he should be more careful.
Now, this man is Samuel Coles, 52. I mean, there's no doubt about his reputation as one of the world's great floaters, seriously.
Mark my words.
But let me see. Right, it happened, Mike. This is an even more amazing story.
Yeah.
It happened hours after he had just performed in Schubert's Ninth Symphony at the Royal Festival Hall.
Yeah.
Now, it was the Archduke Wine Bar.
Who was he drinking with?
Friends from the musical world. You know, I don't know. But anyway, he says...
Very careless.
He says, and this is quotes from him, it was very crowded in the bar. There were lots of people about. At the time, I was just engaging with the person in front of me.
Right.
Maybe I should have been more careful.
Yeah, I think you should.
It's the understatement of the year, isn't it?
Why didn't he just keep hold of the bag?
It is hard to know if I was targeted, if I was targeted because of the instruments, but I think they may have been drawn to my Louis Vuitton bag.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Coles, this is the most amazing thing, listen to this, who once played with Yehudi Menuhin.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the greatest violinist ever, isn't he?
Certainly one of them.
Yeah. The virtuoso violinist.
Yeah.
Moved to France in his 20s, returned to London 5 years ago.
Yeah.
After being invited to play with the orchestra based at the Royal Festival Hall.
Okay.
He said that the problem is, no, I can't adapt him a new flute after the theft of the original, which he'd had for 30 years.
Right.
So he'd had this flute worth 50 grand since he was like a 22-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'd be amazed that if you were in possession of such an instrument,
that
the insurance company that insured it would not insist that you actually kept it at the place of work.
Maybe they do.
You know, why'd you carry it around with you to a pub? I just find that a very, very odd story. I'm sorry.
Well, he says, it's a terrible thing that's happened to me, absolutely awful. The flute was a major part of my musical life. It's very difficult to have to find another instrument. It's a hard adjustment to get used to a new one.
Did anybody see the person stealing it?
Well, I'll come to that in a second.
Was there any CCTV?
He says it was my favourite flute. I built my whole career on it, which means he's got other flutes. So
well, he would have, yeah. Well, I mean, guitarists have hundreds of guitars.
Yeah, but I mean, this guy's... I mean, how much are all these flutes worth? Anyway, to answer your question, detectives investigating the theft said they've released CCTV pictures of two men who they describe as of Mediterranean appearance.
What, carrying away the bag?
I don't know. Investigating the theft...
It's a very odd story, that.
Have released CCTV pictures of two men described as Mediterranean in appearance.
I'd say that's a very odd story.
Well, I mean, I think it's an amazing story, that.
No.
Utterly amazing.
I don't believe it.
Well, you can't... I don't think you can say that. I don't think you can say that.
Well, I don't believe the story. It doesn't seem right to me. It sounds like something...
Well, you can't question Mr. Coles' position in that he was in a pub, his bag got nicked, and his £50,000 flute was in his bag.
You can question it. I mean, I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I have no idea what happened, but that sounds a very unlikely story. I just don't imagine that even if you had an expensive piece of machinery like that, something worth 50,000 quid, that you would just carry around a bag and then just put the bag down. I mean, if I was carrying something worth that much, I wouldn't let go of it.
Well, I suppose he took it for granted. He'd had it for 30 years. It was just a flute as far as he was concerned.
Anyway, I'm not casting any aspersions on him. All I'm saying is that it sounds a very odd story to me.
Both instruments, by the way, were made by a Brannan Cooper flute makers in Massachusetts.
There you go.
Isn't that amazing?
Now, I've got some more info for you on the car washing front.
Okay.
Huey, who sent in the text earlier, says, tell Porky that as a full-time lorry driver, I'm also a part-time car valeter, and all the work I do is cars damaged by hand car washes and supermarkets. It's a gold mine for me, so please keep it up. And here's one from Mark, who says...
Sorry, what's it mean? All the work he does is on cars damaged by...
Well, what he's saying is that both hand car washes and supermarket hand car washes, as well as the automatic car washes, are similarly damaging cars. And so if you've got
how do the hand car washes damage cars?
Because of what he's described. He says using the same sponge on the paint and on the wheels, carelessness
it's
around
never
some of
the... to me, and I've had very good cars. I've had 3 top-class Jaguars, top-range Jaguars, and they've never been damaged.
Really?
No.
Mark says this, you don't take an expensive car to cheap washers. Yes, they do use an aggressive acid on wheels. I pay £60 plus to valet my car. And Lee says, Mike, Porky won't get a car valet to come around his pad. The poor guy would spend half the time getting in and out of slippers. And Danny says, I used to work at a car wash.
You don't come inside, do you? You don't go into somebody's house when you're washing a blinking car.
Well, if you're paying them a lot of money, they might do.
Yeah.
This guy says, I used to work at a car wash and could use the diluted acid on wheels and on the paintwork as it would get jet washed off. And on the subject of people who should never go back, Fred says, Porky's talking rubbish again. Mark Hughes went from United to Barcelona and back to United again and won all sorts. And Dazza says, didn't Porky leave Talk Sport and come back?
No, not at all. I changed my relationship with TalkSport for a while. That's absolutely true. But I've been here since we kicked off in 1998.
Right. Well, you changed your relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, in a sense of the amount of time I spent here, that was all.
Well, like no time for a while.
Well, I suppose you could interpret it that way.
Now, how about this from Adam? He says, what's the Porky quiz on this week? We haven't chosen one yet.
Yes, we have.
No, we haven't.
The American Space Programme.
The American Space Programme.
Yeah, as we've been talking about Tim, our English hero.
Yeah.
Our British
So you want
hero.
the American Space Programme?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You're not going to kind of come complaining when the questions have been set by the independent arbiters.
No.
And say, oh, no, that's not a question about the American Space Programme.
No, American Space Programme.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I shall pass that message on.
Okay.
Quiz on the American Space Programme. And then here's one from Geordie Jeff. Peter Beardsley returned to Newcastle United for a second time and was even better than the first time, helping Toon finish second in the Premier League.
Yes.
So it wasn't just Ian Rush.
No. Okay, there are occasional ones, but mostly speaking, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I can tell you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know.
Now, tomorrow night's Porky Vision, isn't it?
Tomorrow night's Porky Vision.
I have to say, there's more increasing pressure from a lot of people saying that Porky Vision is the one thing that we should drop.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, but I mean, you can say that as much as you like. It's an acquired taste. It's an acquired taste.
It's not me saying it.
It's a very acquired taste.
Did you know, for example, that this week Luther has come back to the small screen?
It's on at 9 o'clock tomorrow evening.
No, it's on last night.
No.
It was on last night.
No.
It was. I saw it.
No, it's on tonight.
Well, it was on last night.
No, it can't be.
What do you mean it can't be?
Well, I've got it Skybox, so it's tonight.
Well, it was on last night. Tuesday night.
Just
before I was leaving the house, the TV was on. Luther was on.
Well, that was going to be subject to my my TV review anyway. So,
well, if you recorded it for tomorrow,
well, I'm not sure
that wouldn't be any good, would it? Because you've got to do the show tomorrow.
Yes.
You sure you haven't recorded it last night and you forgot what day it is?
I'll check it out. Definitely.
Huh?
Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah, okay.
You'll check it out.
Right, but the thing is about Porky Vision, please, can I make it clear to absolutely everybody that if you think I'm simply going to run through a few programmes and say this was good, that was bad, that was all right, that was a bit not. I mean, I'm sorry, my depth of investigative powers is much deeper than that. And what I give you is an overall view of how this programme relates to modern life, relates to you, relates to the world around you.
Yeah, I don't know why people are so critical.
Relates to the rest of TV programmes. So please, just wise up, you guys out there who criticise Porky Vision. And remember, it's an art form, and you're privileged to listen to it.
You know what's on tonight?
What?
You know what's on tonight?
Tonight?
Yeah, Cuffs.
Cuffs, yeah.
There's another one with Inspector Gimp in it.
It's got Inspector Gimp in it. It's got people running around involved in all sorts of Rogerisation situations, of many varying degrees and all this kind of stuff. Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes. It's a good one.
Okay, all right.
Excuse me.
You're right. You're going to be okay for tomorrow.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much indeed. That was Mr. Parry's contribution, of course, for yet another night. He'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and it will be Porky Vision, and then we'll do the Porky quiz this week on the US space. What was it?
The
program.
US Space Programme.
US Space Programme. Yeah. Okay, I'll pass that on to the independent quiz masters.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV. The
official definition of astronaut is if you fly above 55,000 feet.
Really?
Which I have done.
So you make yourself out to be an astronaut?
I'm not making myself out to be. By definition, I can say that I have enjoyed astronaut status.
No, but you're not, though. You're not an astronaut. You never get into any astronaut's, programme. You're overweight. Your heart doesn't work. You can't see very well. You've got flat feet. You've got no chance.
Excuse me. Have you ever flown at 60,000 feet?
Not to my knowledge.
No, of course you haven't. So you would know what you're talking about, as usual, Full of
well, all I can tell you is that you're not an astronaut unless you go out of the atmosphere.
Well,
I wish you would go out of the atmosphere. If I strap you to a rocket later on this morning.
when you're at 50 miles above the earth, do you think it really matters whether you're a Jack Russell or a Spaniel? It don't matter, man.
Well, it does.
You're a dog in space. You don't suddenly think to yourself, I'm a Spaniel.
If you love the Two Mikes podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.